we want to make sure that they are getting the things that, like my kid has. She's involved in a dance class or plays soccer. Those extracurricular things are expensive. And so we make sure that those kids have those as well. And as they age out of the system, we want to make sure that they become productive members of society. So we assist them with, clothing for a job interview, help them figure out how do you get an apartment. So we have that Life Launch program that sets them up for success.
Now, Jen, as I understand it, this is kind of a personal passion of yours, and you actually have a personal connection to this whole foster care thing. Could you tell us your story?
Yeah. So I was a foster child myself. And that's hard for me to say because it's very personal. And when I was a foster kid, I went from a bad situation to worse. So I have firsthand experience of what that's like to feel like you're not wanted and you're not loved. And that's why this means so much to me. When I was placed in foster care, I was separated from my siblings. So when I had heard about Angel's Arms and how it's important to them to keep those kiddos together, I fell in love with that. And then just to see how much it just spread even further from just that to making sure they're supported and loved and growing in a consistent environment that produces success for them, I had to be involved. So I joined in any way that I could to give back. My husband, Rodney, who's quiet here.
Hey, Rodney.
Good morning.
He has my back completely, and he helps me. We've sponsored a kid's birthday. We provide Thanksgiving pies for all the families. We're a sponsor or a yearly event. There's nothing I wouldn't do for that charity.
Hey, Jen, so Angel's Arms is it a national organization? And
not yet.
Okay, so pretty much what we're talking about right now is focused on St. Louis, the region that benefits from this.
Yes.
That's
pretty awesome.
Okay, so you just mentored a couple of ways people go. Obviously, when there's donation drives, and I actually really like the items when you say something very tangible, like you'll hear laundry detergent, which is something that isn't flashy, but can you imagine managing your household without having something like that? You just said like sponsor a birthday party. What are some of the ways that people, can get involved? They don't have time to donate, 10 hours a week or anything like that. And, what are those types of ways in addition to that does fill a need? Sure.
So if you go to our website, angelsarms.org, there's several different ways that you'll find to give back to these kids in this community. Like I said, you could sponsor that birthday and throw a birthday party for a child. You could adopt a family for Christmas this year and they give us their wish list. You could have them make meals for them. It's hard to be, we've got some single moms that are foster moms who are incredible angels. And, I can't imagine cooking for 7 kids. So it'd be nice to have a night off and somebody supply that meal to them. We do take any donations that somebody wants to give, whether that's furniture or clothes. When these kids come to us, they have nothing. So every once in a while we'll have an urgent need, and we do post that out there on our Facebook page. And our community has been wonderful and answers those requests pretty quickly. One of the ways you could give back, though, that I find incredible is our monthly giving program. For as little as $10 a month, you can sign up to be part of our family and donate $10 a month that goes towards helping these kids. And, my 12-year-old even said, Mom, $10 a month, that's not much. We spend that, every week on Starbucks. So, our monthly giving program is pretty amazing.
It's pretty awesome.
And I was going to ask you, the money that you get goes a lot farther for you to get things than it would for someone else to get the stuff, right?
You mean the charity itself?
The charity, yeah.
Yes. That way we know exactly, money is obviously the best route to give back to us.
Yeah.
We don't always need a bunk bed at this time or something like that. But giving back monetarily is beneficial for sure.
Yeah, I guess what I was saying is that, because of your connection with it, the charity itself, that when you go to buy something, you have more buying power than, say, someone just contributing something.
Right. Absolutely. That's true.
Now, are there any objects like at this moment right now that you are in need of, that Angels Arms is in need of, that they need to stock up on in particular? Obviously, the monetary donations go a long way, but when you have those type of drives, is there anything right now that somebody says, well, I'm going to the grocery store here, I can grab one of those?
Oh yeah, definitely. So it's the holidays right now, and we are working on making sure that all of our families have those Christmas wish lists granted. My mom adopted me when I was 6, and she asked me what I wanted from Santa for Christmas, and I told her I didn't want anything from Santa because he didn't know where I lived and he had never come to see me before.
Oh my gosh.
So needless to say, it was like the most amazing, ridiculous Christmas I'd ever had in my life.
Oh yeah.
But our foster kids will never know something like that. Santa always knows where they live. So, reach out to us, adopt a family for Christmas, grant their little wishes. And it's honestly it's a great feeling to be part of that.
What's happening this weekend?
So this weekend, St. Louis is a really awesome giving community, and there's a group called the Harley Group, and this is the second time that they are visiting our kids. So I want to give them a shout out. They're amazing. It's a bunch of Harley riders that come with over 20 motorcycles, a fire truck, a police car, and even Santa Claus is going to show up on a Harley. And
That's so cool.
Our kids love the event last year, so I know they're looking forward to it again this year, and that's happening on Saturday.
Yeah, that's happening at
Kirkwood? Or Sunday. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, that's happening on Sunday in Kirkwood.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's interesting that how many people are affected by the. My mom was adopted too.
Awesome.
Yeah. So now she was adopted, as an infant, but so she has a different story than yours. But it's still, there are elements of that. All right. Let's do the website here. We got to take an information break, but information segment. What's the website again, real quick, Jen?
www.angelsarms.org.
Angels plural. Angels.
Yes.
Arms. Plural again.
Yes.
.org.
That's right.
Okay, that's Jen Wallner. Obviously, you know her from the Wallner Home Selling Team, but now today with Angels Arms.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Your news roundup starts in about 4 minutes right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at NewstalkSTL. Let's get the day started right. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Columbo and Katie.
Join us on Monday as we get you all the important news you need to start your week. New Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer will join us at 2 o'clock and definitely Holly at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
If you believe Brandon and the supply chain issues are still in crisis, or even if you don't, hurry into Southern Armory, your Second Amendment headquarters, for the best selection of firearms, suppressors, holsters, ammunition, pepper spray, and knives. Browse through our constantly changing inventory, order something special, or have us repair or modify that firearm that you've been putting off. Try our firearms training simulator. See the demo video on our website. Come into Southern Armory, 9901 Watson Road, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, at southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo, proud to be a part of 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL, the station that brought true conservative talk back to St. Louis. The voices you know and trust from a homegrown station that is locally owned and operated, and we'd love to help your local business get the word out by becoming your advertising partner. Just send an email to info@newstalkstl.com to get details on how to join the team here at the new conservative voice for St. Louis, 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Are you looking for the cheapest prices on car insurance? Then call the Cheap Car Insurance Hotline right now. Hey, you're guaranteed to save money on your car insurance. Most car insurances can be canceled at any time. That means if you find a better deal, you can switch right away. We're not just one company. We offer most of the major brands of car insurance. We're like a discount supermarket for car insurance. And it doesn't matter if you have a good record or a bad driving record. Our agents are are experts at finding you the right car insurance for your needs. Our average customer saves hundreds of dollars a year when they call us to switch. So why don't you make this 100% free call right now and see how much you can save on your car insurance. Paid for by AIS Insurance.
800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. That's 800-721-5741.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
We need change in our country right now.
Live and local.
They clubbed us over the head for 2 years.
Yep. You want corruption? This is how we get corruption.
This is News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, a few things going on out there. Plan to pay St. Louis politicians more. I mean, a lot more. Is getting close to a final vote. And I guess, Ken, I should clarify. I'm talking about the actual paychecks paying them more, not just bribes.
That's pretty good.
That I need to clarify. In St.
You
Louis.
should probably clarify in St. Louis.
Just so we're clear.
Yeah, but that's so they're going to get a pay raise with well deserved, I guess.
Yeah, because things are running so swimmingly.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. All right, details of that just ahead. I'd love to know what people think about that. We'll get into that pretty much right off the bat here, right after the information segment here in a little bit. Missouri libraries really do not like the idea of parents knowing what their children are checking out and reading. Apparently, I've got a response from some of them here a little bit later on. We've known about this plan that Jay Ashcroft has made regarding libraries and age-appropriate material. And boy, the libraries have some doom and gloom reaction to that. Also, this is going to be fun. We've got some liberal hot takes on the Brittany Griner for the Merchant of Death swap. I would like everybody to know, just have a little bit of coffee before we get to that. I'm going to give you a little bit of time because you're gonna need all your brain activity to try to grasp their perspective on this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Will Kevin McCarthy be the next Speaker of the House? Probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but it's not technically certain, believe it or not, because Matt Gaetz and a couple others are doing some political pushback on that. But about 85% of Republicans are on board with Kevin McCarthy. But a few Republicans still voting against him, or at least they say they're going to, which prevents an outright confirmation and actually could give Democrats a big say in who the speaker is. Congressman Don Bacon is a Republican from Nebraska. He was on Sunday Night in America with Trey Gowdy and gave his thoughts on it.
And when a small number of people go against the team and breaks down the team, that's how you get beat. And by doing what they're doing, they're helping out Chuck Schumer, they're helping out Joe Biden, and they're helping out Hakeem Jeffries.
Okay, so he's talking about the team aspect of it there. A little bit later on, Ronna McDaniel, obviously up for re-election as RNC chair, she's saying one of the problems with the Republicans is just not sticking together enough. We got to get back to this teamwork thing. Got to stay with the tribe.
Yeah, I have mixed emotions about it. I mean, there is an element, a side of me that says, yeah, you have to stick together as a team, but at the same time, you got to do the right thing.
Exactly. Yeah, so we will get into that. I really, really am curious as to what people have to say about that, because are you talking about balancing party and principles? Do you have to sacrifice principles to support your party? Or do you say, party, you must have the principles or we're not going to support you?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting discussion. Over the weekend, like I just mentioned, St. Louis City Aldermanic Committee discussed a proposal to nearly double their salary.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Okay, so remember, as you know, that the wards are being cut in half from 28 to 14. So every older person is going to have a bigger area to represent. Are you
kidding me?
Yeah, that was something that voters approved a little while back. And
no, I get that.
Yeah.
But that's their logic?
Part of it, yes. Yes, that is part of their logic.
Doing a lot more walking these days, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be knocking on all the doors. Yeah, I'm sure they will. So here's what the proposal would do. It would increase the pay of the remaining alder critters, of all 14 of them, from the current $37,000 a year to $72,000 per year.
Wow.
That's a pretty big jump.
That's a huge jump.
Really big jump.
I'd like to have a jump like that in any job I've ever had.
No kidding. Yeah. So technically, being an alderman is actually a part-time job. Kind of like with the Missouri legislature, it's technically part-time, and they don't get paid quite $37,000, but they will make that much or a little bit more, given if you include like the per diems for mileage and food and all that kind of stuff. So basically, the aldermen in St. Louis City make roughly what the state legislators do, and they want to be paid twice as much as the state legislators do.
Wow, that bewilders me. I don't get it. I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't think they do, even on a part-time basis, what they should be doing, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. The last thing I think we want them to do is to be at the office more and doing more stuff.
Yeah.
They can't do what they're doing now, right? Oh, jeez. Oh, good Lord. All right, we'll get to that a little bit later, too. Let's look at Congress here. The only House Democrat to speak out against Twitter's censorship practices is Congressman Ro Khanna, a Democrat from California. He told Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo there needs to be a balance between the First Amendment and respect. We got something to say about this.
We do want respect. I mean, we don't want accounts that are filled with anti-Semitism or just spewing racism or hate on these accounts. And I think Congress should have a honest, thoughtful conversation about how we uphold both of those values.
By the way, the 4th set of the Twitter files were released over the weekend.
And we should probably talk about that too. Mike, when you meet someone and they are racist, what do you do?
Walk away.
Okay. When you have an account on Twitter, you don't censor.
Right.
You don't censor free speech. What you do is you just block them, and then you move on. Or you monitor them and make sure you know where they are.
Yeah, you scroll past them, something. I've got a real big, when I hear, let's balance constitutional rights with, I don't care what the other thing is.
Right, with anything.
No.
What did he call it?
Respect.
Respect. Okay, who's to determine respect?
That's the $50,000 question.
Every time.
Every single time. So that's one of those things where be careful what you wish for, because if you say, well, we got to balance your constitutional right with fill in the blank, who gets to decide what the fill in the blank is and where the limits are?
Yeah, that's not very respectful. I think we need to censor that.
I think we should. Oh, no. I know we need.
What?
We need a disinformation governance board.
No. That's a good name,
That's
too.
What we
wow.
need. That's what we need.
Where'd you come up with that?
That'll take care of it. That'll solve the problem. Yeah, be careful what you wish for, folks. Okay, so we'll talk about this here in about. Let's talk about this. You know what? How about right around 6:50? Let Gabe get settled in.
From Tranquility Base to Taurus Littrow to the tranquil waters of the Pacific, the latest chapter of NASA's journey to the moon comes to a close. Orion. Back on Earth.
That's from NASA TV. Artemis 1 splashed down after a successful mission. Gabe's going to geek out.
Yeah, I'm sure our rocket scientist is going to have a lot to say about this one.
Yeah, it looks like it was a successful mission. So we'll tell you what the $93 or $94 billion program is going to do next. I will give you a spoiler. It's supposed to result in people on Mars.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is to actually get them to be able to build things on the moon and get them as another station to launch from, because it's easier to launch from the moon than it would be from Earth.
Right. Yeah, because obviously it's closer depending on where it is in the start. Yep, exactly. So yeah, we'll right around about an hour from now, Gabe's going to be totally geeking out. It's going to be worth it to hear. One quick note, last minute Colorado goal ties the game. I mean, literally with seconds to go in the game. And then Colorado scores about a minute into overtime, handing the Blues their 8th loss in the last 10 games. Ouch.
Man.
I mean, it was like 2 seconds or 7 seconds or something like that left in the game.
Yeah, I can't follow them until they my heart hurts every time. It's too much for me.
Final score last night at Enterprise was 3-2. One positive thing that we did see, Jordan Bennington, he made 28 saves out of 31 shots.
That's good.
That's really good. The Blues homestand comes to an end tonight. They host Nashville at the Enterprise Center, and then they're out of town. We kick them out of St. Louis for a little while until they can start winning games. Then we'll let them back.
Yeah.
Actually, just have some road games. This is 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you're concerned about the current market and the 40-year record high inflation that we're seeing, you're not alone.
Credit card usage skyrocketing and at record highs, savings rates plunging.
It's 100% certainty that you're in recession now.
The good news is, for decades, Steve All and his team have been helping people just like you protect and grow your income. And most importantly, not run out of money.
My clients that are currently sitting there on guaranteed incomes, they're not really worried about what's happening in the market. So they're more at peace because every month that paycheck comes in.
Call Steve today for your customized market protection plan. 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or visit yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities. Licensed in Missouri and Illinois.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Almost 34 years to the day of the deadly attack, a Libyan man, allegedly a key player in the 1988 bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland, has been captured. The man, said to be a former Libyan intelligence operative, is in U.S. custody. Stephanie Bernstein's husband, Michael, among the 270 people who died in the attack. She says she is grateful to the feds for keeping their word.
Our government, the Department of Justice, has always said to us, we are committed to following the evidence wherever it leads. And I think what today shows is that that was not an empty promise.
The airliner on its way from London to New York blew up over Lockerbie December 21st of 1988. A second person has been put to death in Iran in connection with deadly nationwide protests against the country's so-called morality police. With Republicans poised to take the House majority, it appears that some intel officials will have some explaining to do. It has to do with that incriminating Hunter Biden laptop and a pre-election letter signed by the intelligence officials.
Presumptive House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says he plans to subpoena intelligence officials who signed a letter saying a New York Post story about Hunter Biden might be disinformation. The story has been in the news recently as part of the, quote, Twitter files that allegedly show how the platform censored some information that could benefit conservatives and hurt liberals. More than 50 former intelligence officials, including former CIA directors John Brennan and James Clapper, signed a letter in 2020 saying they didn't have evidence to definitively call the New York Post story untrue. McCarthy said of the signatories that he'll subpoena them before a committee when the GOP takes control of the House in the next Congress. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
And watching Wall Street, stock futures in positive territory so far this morning. The Dow futures 43 points higher. NASDAQ futures up 32 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
I miss my baby. Someone stole my baby. By the way, my baby is my landscaping truck that was literally stolen from a job site. Baby, won't you please come home?
Owning a small business isn't always as lovely as it sounds, but with 30-plus customizable coverage options, Progressive Commercial keeps your business humming along. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
I love my sweetheart. By the way, that's my riding lawnmower.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage and discounts not available for all vehicles or states. Policy terms and conditions apply.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Already a couple of incidents to watch out for this morning. 64 westbound between Vandeventer and Boyle. We've got the remnants of a vehicle fire, but they have the 2 left lanes closed, so you've got a brief delay there. 55 northbound past Route M, crash on the left shoulder, but fire and EMS did respond, so watch the left lane. That's 55 northbound, about the 185.6. This report is sponsored by Northern Tool and Equipment. This holiday season, Northern Tool and Equipment has the perfect gift for every builder and maker on your list. And with the new deals dropping this week, it's the best time to save on the brand you trust. Northern Tool and Equipment. We're made for gift giving. I'm Joe Sonderman from the NewstalkSTL Traffic Center.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. A quiet Monday, maybe a little fog early in the day and stubborn clouds hanging in there, but some peekaboo sunshine not out of the question, too. Morning lows near the freezing mark, afternoon highs in the mid to upper 40s. Tuesday will start dry, but rain's going to roll in from the west, maybe even a few rumbles of thunder. We're talking highs in the mid 50s, which means this is all rain, but quite a bit of it, half an inch to maybe an inch, Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday night. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Report cards may not always be the most fun things for kids to get, but they are important. Their grades show how well they're doing in class and where they might need improvement. But why shouldn't schools get grades too? And shouldn't parents be able to see how their child's school compares to others? We at the Show Me Institute strongly believe the answer is yes. And that's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on several categories, such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Now you can. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust. News Talk STL at 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson.
I am a young, vibrant man.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I'm Batman. Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up! Get up!
We can't rebuild our economy and meet this climate crisis.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
A whole lot of kind of nitty-gritty politics today, guys. So a little bit later, Gabe, Ronna McDaniel, of course, she's being challenged for the RNC chair position. Is
As
saying,
she should be.
Yes. But she's saying, you know what the Republican Party needs? Just unity. Unity, unity, unity. So I've got a couple of choice quotes from her that I'll read. Interesting discussion on it. I don't know that I'm totally on board because I think what she's arguing is, you know what? Of course, now her position is political. Her job is to win.
Right.
Her job is not necessarily to advance conservatism, or free markets. Her job is to get Republicans to win. And there is, I think, an increasing amount of attitude that says we're just going to have to sacrifice some principles to win.
Oh.
So I think that's where some of that discussion debate, not new to the right in the United States, but we'll get into that.
Every time.
6:07, I'm Mike Ferguson, got Gabe Pfeiffer here and Ken Williams here. And speaking of politics, State Senator Andrew Koenig is going to be with us at 7:35.
Okay.
And I've actually had a couple people say, Mike, the session doesn't start till early January. I'm like, no, actually it's already started because they're pre-filing bills and trying to get them in order, and they're now kind of doing the jockeying for position. So we're already seeing where the state legislature's mindset is, and there's a lot of conservative stuff that's getting filed, but will it get to the finish line?
The big question.
The big hope.
And I don't know. I don't know. Really, so the question is, how hopeful should conservatives be for Missouri in 2023? But the reality, what I want to talk about is what can we do to make sure that we've got that strongest chance, because we're basically in a position of Republican versus conservative again in the state legislature.
Yeah, that actually leads back to the questions that we're going to be discussing, I think, when it comes to Ronna McDaniel.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And one big thing that citizens can do, any constituents can do, is write your Congress people.
Oh my gosh! Right, call your voice when you contact directly, their office counts as like 10,000 people.
I was just going to say exactly that.
Yeah,
No, you're right.
So
it's
true. It's
Yeah.
a big deal. Like people think, oh, well, what's me calling their office going to do? It's
It
like, I'm
helps.
just going to be a Karen over here. Yes, absolutely be a Karen, because you represent 10,000 other Karens who think the same thing but don't have time to call or whatever, who have decided not to. So definitely call and write.
And there's a right way to do it, though.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
You can be firm. You can tell them you're angry at them, but if you're cussing them out and screaming and calling them names, then they will mark down that you called, but it will not go anywhere.
That is true.
So that's about it.
Yeah.
So, a lot to cover. Okay, I really hope. Let me start here. Couple things, guys. Let's just run through a couple things here.
Okay.
Then right around 6:20, let's talk about this Ronna McDaniel approach to the conversation. But I really hope, and I know this is a little weird for a radio talk show host, I really hope I don't get to say I told you so. Because I want to be wrong about this.
Oh, boy.
Okay, get this. I found this article in The Hill. New York City recommends everyone wear masks indoors regardless of vaccination status.
Here we go.
Exactly.
Oh, boy.
Los Angeles also saying, boy, these transmission rates of COVID, we're just going with CDC recommendations. It's this high. One of the boxes has now been checked to bring back a mask mandate. I am telling you, and I've been saying it for months, they're not done with this stuff.
Yep, they're going to come right back to it. We were discussing that way back in the day when all the lawsuits were there and all of the consternation as far as keeping the mandates or lifting the mandates, or do you even have the right to put the mandates on? And they were very deliberate about, even when they removed the mandates, about retaining the power.
We even announced it. The day that they said that, we said, okay, they didn't completely say it's over. We've suspended it for now.
That's what St. Louis County said.
Yeah, that's the way they said it.
Yeah.
Basically. It's like, you know what? Given the circumstances, we're deciding to remove it. It's kind of like, you can't do that. It's like, well, you know what? I'm going to decide that for now, I will give you what you want. That's not a concession.
No, and that's not removing something completely.
Well, matter of fact, the Biden administration still fighting the federal court decision that struck down their mask order on transportation, on planes and Amtrak's and things like that. Not necessarily because they want to list a bunch of mask orders again, but because they want to retain that power.
Yeah, and the military is going to suffer the worst, I think, on all this, because if they're required to get vaccinations that they don't want, they're not going to enlist.
One of the many reasons that people are probably thinking twice before enlisting in the military at this moment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And there are a lot of other reasons too.
Right.
Well, yeah.
But with this right here, for instance, you're looking at Los Angeles and California in general. You have to be concerned in January. Rachel and I are planning to go to San Diego for a few days. Okay. I am telling you right now that we've already got the plane tickets. It's one of her conferences with one of the free market groups, and it's over a weekend. And I'm telling you right now that if between now and then, so we're looking at about 4 weeks, if California at all starts saying, I think we got to reinstate the mask order, I may be in trouble in my house because I'm going to say, I'm not going.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm out.
Period. And frankly, with her travel schedule, we could use a weekend in California. Or it's San Diego. That's so you're out there by, I guess, some beach out there and that sort of thing, although she's got a conference. But I'm not putting up with that. I'm not complying with that.
I have family in La Jolla, and it's near San Diego. It's within the area. And it's amazing. It's beautiful to visit.
I wouldn't want to live there, no.
No. But if Mike, I agree with you. If they started that again, I wouldn't go.
Well, the "I will not comply" response to all this is the only thing that we can do. I mean, you can't do, oh, well, you know what, for now, because this is more important to me than standing up. No. The standing up right now is the more important thing for you. It
really is.
Of pretty much almost anything, unless you're talking, life or death situations here. You have to not comply with this garbage.
You can fill in the blank, they being Tashara Jones, Sam Page, J.B. Pritzker, Gavin Newsom. Fill in whoever they is. They will get away with whatever we allow them to get away with.
That's the way it works.
That's what I want everybody to remember. Now, remember, Lord Fauci, their demigod, is saying you need to get tested and wear a mask when you're going to family gatherings.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, Christmas dinner, or whatever, can be a super spreader.
He's still saying it, too.
He is. He's doubling down on this. And so this is the mindset that they are bringing back in. If you say, Mike, get over it, it's just a mask. No, it's not just a mask. This is the mindset that says government owns your personal face, if you will. This is what led to government saying, well, in the name of public health and because we own you, then we're going to shut down businesses. You're not allowed to go to church and everything. And we don't know if the next Missouri Attorney General, the guy who's been picked, Andrew Bailey, we don't know if he's going to fight for us or not. We don't know anything about him. We know Eric Schmidt did, but we don't know if Andrew Bailey is.
I've always had this in the back of my mind since I can remember that they work for us.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had that in the back of my mind. I'm putting it in the front of my mind now.
Mm-hmm.
And every situation that I come into, and if I get into a situation, even debating with a congressperson, I'm going to say, by the way, you work for us. Okay, just remember that. And if you remember that in everything that we do now, if we talk about it in politics, you'll feel better about it because you'll be able to attack it in a different way. They work for us.
Here's what's specific. Let's say that St. Louis County starts chirping Sam Page, Elisa Clancy. Some of these people start chirping about, boy, this RSV and COVID and cold and flu, because they have now extended talking about masks to colds and flu.
Yes, they have.
Which we warned you was going to happen.
We predicted this.
Yep, because it's not about the masks or about the viruses. It's about the power. And if they say, well, we need to do this to protect the public health, they start talking about that very specifically. Let's tie all this up here in the last 30 seconds or so here, is when you talk to the local lawmakers, you talk to their offices, you say, by the way, I'm now not buying stuff in St. Louis County. I'm going up to St. Charles County where they respect people, where they don't feel like they are in authority over people. And if Sam Page even thinks about another stay-at-home order.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just stop. Yeah.
Let's just stop right there.
Let's just stop right there.
Bad things will happen.
Yes.
Words cannot even explain or describe. Yeah. No.
All right, just ahead is what the Republican Party needs at the end: unity. You don't like that Republican, so what? He's not a Democrat. She's not a Democrat. Okay, there's arguments on both sides of this. I'll tell you what Ronna McDaniel is saying. You tell me what you think. At 314-912-1019. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Stop right now before you blow us all away. Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin car. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Quite a few incidents already this morning. 64 westbound between Vandeventer and Boyle. The two left lanes are closed due to an earlier vehicle fire. 55 northbound past Route M, slow down. Watch out for a crash that's partly blocking the left lane. 70 eastbound past 270. They've got that one on the right side, but traffic's a little busy. This report sponsored by Dell Technologies. This is Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Dell's Days of Deals start now with savings on select XPS laptops and Alienware PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors, plus savings on accessories and free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Do you live in West St. Louis County? Then you can get West News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. West News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe or pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. West News Magazine. Anybody who wants it, gets it. Anybody who gets it, wants it. Subscribe for free today. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe.
Hey, it's Katie here. Thank you so much for making 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL the fastest growing radio station in St. Louis. We've been blown away by all the listener and advertiser support we've received in the short time we've been on air. And we would love to support your business and have you as part of the News Talk STL team. Just send an email to info@newstalkstl.com and get details on how to join us here at the new conservative voice of St. Louis. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, everyone. Al Roker here. As a guy with his own catchphrase, I appreciate that Smokey's only said,
Only you can prevent wildfires.
but I'm filling in because there's a lot more to report. Like when there are parched or windy conditions out there, you gotta be extra careful with things like burning yard waste. After all, wildfires can start anywhere, even in your neck of the woods. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point. We all know that feeling of vindication, when something you've been telling or warning others about for a while actually proves true. The more resistance it was met with, the deeper the gratification when you can turn to the most ardent naysayers and declare, I told you so. The release of the Twitter files has thus far confirmed that the thumb was indeed on the scale for the left when it came to content moderation. Shadow banning and blacklisting of conservative accounts was, in fact, a thing, and the effort to ban President Trump from the platform followed an inconsistent course at best. These were all long suspected by objective observers of the site's evolution and its increasingly prominent role in politics and media, even while leaders and pundits in those arenas consistently clucked at such as the stuff of tinfoil hats. So these revelations are an epic helping of I told you so served up on a platter of schadenfreude, and as such should be utterly delicious. Yet they're not, because they confirm the worst about fellow Americans to whom we've ceded far too much power. That in their view, the ends justify the means, and the foundational framework upon which we've built our country and way of life is expendable. And that leaves a very bitter taste.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter @SmoozyQ and keep listening to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here. Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
The week ahead. Tuesday, President Biden hosts the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit in Washington with dignitaries from across the African continent. The meetings will cover human rights, the pandemic, food security, climate, and other issues. Wednesday, the Federal Reserve ends 2 days of meetings and will announce if or how much it will raise its benchmark interest rates as the central bank continues efforts to lower the nation's inflation rate. Thursday is the deadline to apply for health insurance under the Affordable Care Act in order to have coverage in the new year. Friday's the deadline for Congress to approve a spending plan to keep the government operating and avert a partial shutdown of federal services. Democrats want a long-term spending bill passed, while Republicans are pushing for a stopgap measure so the GOP has more say when it gains a majority in the House in January. Saturday is National Wreaths Across America Day, honoring America's fallen veterans by placing wreaths on gravestones of veterans across the country. And that's a look at your week ahead. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News.
I'm checking out townhall.com a little bit earlier, guys, and I see a story here. Ronna McDaniel calls for unity among Republican Party. And what she's looking at is around the country, there was a lot of what she's calling ticket splitting, where people voted for Republicans in some races but didn't in other races. And basically she's saying you need to be brand loyal on general election day. Okay. There is an argument for that. I get that as practical voting, and I think there's a time for that. And I also think there's a time to say you got to stick to your principles. Otherwise, does it matter as much that the R is less distasteful than the D in some cases?
Yeah, I think this whole push to lighten the conservative brand in order to win elections has been a failing strategy for decades. Like, I don't know why we keep coming back to this. Being a Democrat light just means that the Democrats aren't going to vote for you and the Republicans aren't going to vote for you because they don't want a Democrat. So you that's kind of where we've ended up every time they tried that version of it. We've seen the electoral success of hardcore conservatives who jumped into the fray in these fights, particularly in places like Florida, because that's where the fight can be won, where you make an actual ideological distinction between those two candidates and then you try to sell it on the merits. Because if you believe in the merits of your case, you should be all in.
Yeah, and it's all about marketing. I mean, we go back to this every once in a while. Here in St. Louis, we've seen examples of the Republican Party not doing what they need to do to get the support behind some of these candidates. And I'm not saying these are the best candidates. I'm saying that from the very beginning of finding candidates, I mean, you've got to work a lot harder, in my opinion. The RNC needs to be working a lot harder. Look what they did in Arizona. They, in my opinion, didn't do a lot of support there. In Georgia, they could have done. I think they could have done more support to support Herschel Walker. I think they could have, even though, I mean, Herschel Walker wasn't the best candidate, but what was Fetterman? And he won.
Yeah, now Georgia is interesting because Ronna McDaniel talks about Georgia specifically. She's quoted as saying, ticket splitting was everywhere. We won 8 races statewide in Georgia, but then Warnock wins the runoff. And then she talks about Wisconsin. Ron Johnson, meaning the U.S. Senator Republican, wins in Wisconsin, but Evers holds the governorship. She said it's not a size fit. So there were enough people who said, I like Brian Kemp. I like that. I mean, it's like you look at those 8 statewide races in Georgia, they weren't close. The Republicans won those a lot. I mean, by 5 points, 8 points. I mean, that tells you that Georgia's still pretty conservative, but Herschel Walker underperformed all of them significantly.
It feels like, the continued misdiagnosis of the Republican Party's failures. We get this every time. It's like, the reason why we're not doing well is because of X, Y, and Z. And we're like, no, it's because of A, B, and C. What are you talking about? So if you have a bad, diagnosis of what the problem is, of course your prescription is going to be bad to fix it.
Now, let's take her argument to the logical conclusion.
Sure.
You're in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Mitt Romney is up against a liberal Democrat. By her argument, Mitt Romney is the Republican, therefore you're obliged to vote for the Republican. Here's what she's quoted as saying, and I'm looking again at this town hall article. She's saying, and I'm quoting, "We can't hate each other so much that we forget what the Democrats are doing to the country. We can't be so mad at each other that we say, I'm not going to vote for this Republican because they like this candidate, or they're a rhino, or establishment, or MAGA." So, in other words, at the general election, if it's somebody you can't stand, if you're a conservative, it's Mitt Romney or Lisa Murkowski or Susan Collins or whoever, or if you're more of an establishment liberal, it's Rand Paul or Ron DeSantis or whoever. It doesn't matter, because the alternative is worse. So just hold your nose and vote.
Now, that, to me, is a different argument than we need to put up candidates who are, more palatable, as they say. I think those are two different arguments, and she's mixing them to our detriment because the brand loyalty is a thing. Mm-hmm. There is the hold your nose and vote thing because the idea is we're trying to take as much positive ground as we can as opposed to taking steps back. And, and there are political calculations to be made at the ballot box. That is actually true. That is absolutely true. But the thing is, her position isn't inside the ballot box. I mean, if you're in leadership at that level, your position is who are the candidates that we're going to support, who are the candidates we're going to put up into the ballot box, and then you leave that decision up to us as to whether or not that's a positive move for the conservative movement or for the Republican Party. So she's kind of playing both sides of the electoral equation when that's not one of these areas isn't her purview. So stay in your lane, lady.
That's true, and we don't know all the ins and outs of what she's been doing as a leader. Ronna McDaniel Romney, and I say that for a reason. But I think there is time that we need to have another leader in that position. And I think Lee Zeldin's a great choice.
He's decided not to run.
Did he really?
Yep. He decided not to run.
And there you go.
Yep. He said Ronna McDaniel's reelection, in his words, is baked in. So he says that she should be challenged and somebody else should be there, but he's chosen not to do it. Lee Zeldin's campaign flipped some of the New York seats from blue to red in Congress. He ran a phenomenal campaign, even though he lost.
And that's the reason why I think he should have been that leader.
I think he'd have been a good one.
Why do we not, reward our winners? It's the weirdest thing. I see it in the Democrat Party where they reward all their losers with various things. It's like I mean, whatever. Democrats are kind of backwards.
Yeah, a position or a show on MSNBC or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's fine. But even in the party leadership, we keep rewarding losers.
Yeah.
What is going on? Why do we do that?
We need fighters, man. And I just don't think Ronna McDaniel was a fighter. I know she talked a big game. She really did. And we were behind her. But you see the results. I just don't think she's a fighter. Mike, we've got Dave on the line.
Okay, Dave, I got about a minute for the information segment, but what do you think?
I think she sucks because she's a Romney. Just get rid of her. Just get rid of her. Look.
What are you saying?
Well, I know I'm being soft this weekend, guys. I hope you had a great weekend. First of all, I apologize. You know what? Again, I Trump fan or not, I am a Trump fan. He exposed them all. That's what's beautiful about it. Now that we know what Republicans are rhinos, don't vote for them. Get them out.
Yeah.
Get them the hell out. I'm sorry, but you know what? If we're just looking at the candidates as far as Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock, sorry, Jesus Christ isn't going to be on the ballot at all. So people get used to that. It's just going to be what it is. I hate that expression, but the hard facts are Herschel Walker, again, Mike, I know we can agree to disagree. Mm-hmm. I believe Herschel Walker won it. And I'm not going to say because Republicans lost, we straight. No. In the areas they lost, they stole it before. Now, I can't explain how you got the one guy that won, the Republican governor, but even again, he's another one who's got stink on him. So I don't trust any of them. That's why I tune to you guys to listen.
All right. Hey, Dave, I got to get to the information segment, but really appreciate you saying that.
Thanks,
and I mean, it was like 8 statewide races the Republicans won, and then they lost that one in the end. I still reserve the right, and I know this is not going to set well with everybody, I still reserve the right to say, I don't like that person. If there's an R behind their name, I'm shopping around.
Sure.
Now, I can't imagine any situation where I'm going to vote for a D, but they still need to earn my vote. Now, there are times where you strategically go, okay, not perfect, as Dave was saying, but I'm still voting for him because the alternative is horrific. I'm just not going to pledge my vote to a party sight unseen.
And we need people to do that in order to put pressure on the leadership to actually put up better candidates. So, I mean, I appreciate that aspect of it.
314-912-1019. Love to know what your thoughts are on this. Also, just ahead here, right around 6:35, boy, the librarians in Missouri are enlisting the help of the national librarians. They do not like the idea of parents being involved in knowing what their kids are checking out and reading.
Red flag.
Parents.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I'm waving the red flag. Red flag.
Yeah, there you
Hello.
go. It is a big red flag, too, isn't it?
We'll talk about that just ahead on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. The news and talk.
And now with Title 42 going away,
we're bracing for a tsunami that matters to St. Louis.
A rail strike in the middle of the holidays.
Supply chain bottlenecks. 1019 and 94.1.
happening right now.
News Talk STL.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasevich. Attorney General Eric Schmidt said Thursday his office helped convict a 38-year-old St. Francis County man of first-degree rape through the Safe Kit initiative, which was launched after an investigation found a backlog of untested rape kits in Missouri. This particular rape occurred back in 2014. Florissant Mayor Timothy Lowry attended the grand reopening of the T.S. Ditto photography studio at the Florissant Meadows Shopping Center yesterday. Much of the businesses in the center were destroyed by flooding back on July 26th. Missouri lawmakers will try again in 2023 to legalize sports betting after failing to pass such legislation earlier this year. Senator Denny Hoskins of Warrensburg has filed a bill for the upcoming January session that seeks to approve sports wagering and video lottery systems. The company behind the Butler Brothers building redevelopment that spans a full city block between 17th and 18th Streets announced that the building will be called The Victor, and the first phase will be finished by June. Pre-leasing begins in March, and there will be 384 apartments in total. And in sports, in college basketball, the Kansas Jayhawks blew out Mizzou 95-67 Saturday in Columbia, delivering the Tigers their first loss of the season. The 9-1 Tigers now head to Miami to play the University of Central Florida on Saturday. Tip-off is at 11 a.m. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
It's already been a very busy morning. First of all, some pretty lengthy delays, 64 westbound between Vandeventer and Boyle. We had a car burn, but the gas tank ruptured, so it's taking a while to clean up the subsequent vehicle fire. The 2 left lanes are closed. Traffic jam back to about Forest Park Grand. 55 northbound past M, a medical emergency. They had to break into the car after the subject had a seizure. The left lane is closed, so traffic is slow past there. And 70 eastbound busy east of 270, incident on the right side. This report is sponsored by Dell Technologies, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Dell Technologies' Days of Deals start now with savings on select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. A quiet Monday, maybe a little fog early in the day and stubborn clouds hanging in there, but some peekaboo sunshine not out of the question, too. Morning lows near the freezing mark, afternoon highs in the mid to upper 40s. Tuesday will start dry, but rain's going to roll in from the west, maybe even a few rumbles of thunder. We're talking highs in the mid 50s, which means this is all rain, but quite a bit of it, half an inch to maybe an inch, Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday night. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey, Columbo here, and many of you know that one of my favorite things to do when I have some free time is to get out on the water and go fishing. And the folks at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton are the people you should see before your next fishing trip. No matter what you're fishing for, they have everything you need, from gear to lures to live bait. Plus, they can even set you up on a guided fishing tour on the Mississippi River. Make sure the tackle box is ready for your next trip by visiting Bluff City Outdoors at 2813 East Broadway in Alton and bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Have you been floored? Not until you've gone to Michaels Flooring Outlet. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years. You want variety? Michaels has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Save money and get quality at Michaels. Plus, your installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michaels. You can shop in store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home. Check out everything that Michaels has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Monday, we're back with former U.S. Senator Jim Talon at 425 on Biden's latest bumbling on the world stage. At 525, Susie Moore of Red State.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Right around 6:50, Gabe's going to nerd out on us.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Little.
I have questions, Gabe.
He says, He says a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
I know. I don't do anything little.
Bit. Whatever. 6:37. I'm Mike. That's Gabe. That's Ken over there. It's interesting. What should be a non-political discussion by Jay Ashcroft.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you know what? Given the proliferation of all of these sexual materials targeted at young children,
very young,
when it comes to public libraries in the state of Missouri, we're going to make sure that parents are going to sign off on them checking those out. Well, frankly, anything at this point. And then also they need to be kept in an area where at least parents have a fighting chance of going, "Ooh, Junior, you're not ready for that." Or let's talk about that on my terms, not on those terms. Nowhere has Jay Ashcroft, from what I can see or what I've read, nowhere has he said we're going to ban any books from any public library. That has not happened.
Yeah. I've heard it out of his mouth. He's,
on this station.
Yeah.
And so the Missouri Library Association, I think that's what it's called, in conjunction with the American Library Association, they are now calling this an unprecedented year of censorship because libraries in Missouri are now fighting against this rule that the Secretary of State's offered that says people younger than 18 have to have a parent's permission to check out books. Now, when I had a library card when I was a little kid, you didn't have to have your parents sign off on the books. They had to sign off on the library card, but not the books because they were responsible when I didn't take a book back in time.
Right.
Although my parents made me pay that quarter.
Yep. It's on you, buddy.
Bob Priddy, who people would probably remember as the news director of Missouri Net for all of those years. And Bob Priddy he actually hid his leftism pretty well with Missouri Net. They actually did a really good job of being objective. He's also a member of a library board in Jefferson City, and he spoke to Missouri News Service, which is a liberal news outlet. And here's what he had to say about this rule that says parents should have a say in what their kids are taking home.
The next thing you know, we're going to have people who are saying, well, as government, there are certain books that nobody should read. I can see where this is the kind of thing where government wants to, in one way or another, withhold information from people who have a right to have that information.
So it's the camel's nose under the flap of the tent, Gabe. That's what this is. It's just a way to ban books and stop people from getting information because we don't want 4-year-olds or 6-year-olds or 10-year-olds to be reading about 10,000 sexualities and how to do sex acts.
Yeah. What is the Porcelli principle?
Etztoit.
And that means
everything they say, the opposite is true.
Right. So they're claiming a camel's nose in the tent, a slippery slope, if you will, sort of argument against government reaching into libraries to ban books, while this is very specifically an effort to prevent them from reaching, their nose under the tent of children's sexuality, as they put it. Right. So that we're literally standing against them creeping into our homes and trying to indoctrinate our children, and they have the gall to say, "Oh my gosh, you guys are getting real authoritarian with this stuff." Protecting my kids? You're dang right. I'm getting authoritarian about it.
That's the whole point. As a parent, you can be authoritarian because you are the authoritarian.
I am the dictator of my house over my children, and you shall not cross that line.
And the biggest problem I have with all this structure of people that are trying to keep kids seeing this stuff. Why? Why are they so adamant about requiring these books in school of showing sexual positions to a 5-year-old? Why? I just want to know why.
And by the way, Ken's not exaggerating.
That is not an exaggeration.
That's not exaggerating.
No.
We've seen the pictures.
They are. It is a how-to guide in some of these books. Now, if Jay's proposal was to say, we're not allowing this filth in our libraries, I would actually oppose it.
That's true.
But that's not what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
No.
He's saying parents get the final say on whether the grade school kid or the junior high kid or even the high school kid gets to take it home. And so what's being argued is, well, if they want to check it out, they should be able to read it themselves. They'll take it home, they'll hide it, they'll whatever. Or even if the parents are okay with it, the parents should still have the right or the duty to sign off on it.
Way back in the day, when there were places called Blockbuster Videos. I know some of you kids out there may not know exactly what I'm talking about, but back in the day, we couldn't stream our entertainment. We had to go find it. We had to go hunting. We walked uphill both ways through the snow to get our
10 miles,
our VHS recordings of various entertainment things.
And we were kind and we rewound.
But when we got there, there were these little markings on each of those that had it's something called a rating, right? And if you walk into a Blockbuster Video as a 10-year-old, you could not, take out an R-rated movie. If you brought it to the counter, they say, you got your dad here, your mom here. He's like, you can't do this.
No, a 10-year-old PG.
Well, yeah, that's true. The 10-year-old can't even get a PG movie by themselves. And don't get me started on those really, really naughty videos, which were in a section in the back that you couldn't even cross the velvet rope to if you were, yay high.
And you know what material was in those? What's in the library that they're proposing.
And right now, all we're saying is, we want ratings on things, and we want a little gatekeeping by parents on your books, the same way we do with entertainment. And they're up in arms. They're like, no, kids should have porn. That's literally their argument.
Yeah, that's the problem I'm having.
I just want the parents to have the right to make the decision. Listen, there's some parents who are going to make some really bad, crappy decisions. How do we know that? There are parents who take little children to drag queen shows.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we know there are bad parents out there, but that's their purview on that. It's not my job to crack down on the government or have the government crack down on them. We're saying that the parents are the ones who have the final authority over this, and it's not the government to say that those kids should be able to take something like a how to have sex book, which is how these things are, which is what these things are, graphic. The parents have to have the say on this. We're not talking about whether or not the kids are well, actually, it's any book. I mean, they are. And they're saying, what, are you going to have the kids have to give parents permission to check out the, I don't know, Tom and Jerry book or whatever it is that's out there? I don't even know if Tom and Jerry has a book, but you know what I mean.
But to add insult to injury, then they had the Department of Justice actually sampling, kind of putting a balloon out there to see if they could make the parents get intimidated by what their actions. Just by asking simple questions to the school board, they became domestic terrorists. There's a big problem here, and it needs to be taken care of.
It is not censorious to say that 10-year-olds should have their parents' permission to check out a book that has graphic sexual content. That is not anti-free speech.
No.
Saying that the library is not allowed to stock the book, that is anti-free speech.
Yes.
And I would oppose that too. So Bob's just wrong about this, as are the libraries when they're pushing back.
And the library's fighting. It's like, you know what, librarians, red flag on you guys too.
Exactly. To not have a section, hey, over here, parental guidance needed, still in the building, to have parental guidance needed over here, that's still not censoring the book.
Yeah.
You were going to say something, Ken.
No, that's all right.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. 314-912-1019. How much on a scale of 1 to the moon will Gabe geek out?
To the moon!
To the moon, Alice.
Just ahead on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning, made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We're doing better. It was very busy. Right now, the only major incident we have is 64 westbound between Vandeventer and Boyle. Due to an earlier vehicle fire, they still have the 2 left lanes closed, so you're jammed back to about Forest Park Grand. 55 northbound looks better. We cleared an incident off to the left side at Route M. It's just busy coming up through Carondelet and Virginia so far. 70 eastbound was crowded east of 270 due to an earlier incident, but that should thin out pretty fast. This report sponsored by NetSpend All Access account. NetSpend All Access. Get the mobile banking account with perks that add up. Banking services provided by an account established by Pathward, NA, member FDIC. Deposit account opening subject to registration and ID verification. Terms and costs apply. Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
What if everything you thought and believed to be true about owning and buying your home turned out to be wrong?
Straightforward, objective advice on the right way to make the most out of every dollar you put into your home.
We're the only country that has one of those. Most other countries, considering like Canada, the UK, they don't have long-term fixed-rate mortgages like that. They're all variable-rate mortgages.
HomeWise with Michael Midget, Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Are you looking for the cheapest prices on car insurance? Then call the Cheap Car Insurance Hotline right now. Hey, you're guaranteed to save money on your car insurance. Most car insurances can be canceled at any time. That means if you find a better deal, you can switch right away. We're not just one company. We offer most of the major brands of car insurance. We're like a discount supermarket for car insurance. And it doesn't matter if you have a good record or a bad driving record. Our agents are experts at finding you the right car insurance for your needs. Our average customer saves hundreds of dollars a year when they call us to switch. So why don't you make this 100% free call right now and see how much you can save on your car insurance. Paid for by AIS Insurance.
800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. That's 800-721-5741.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
I think they're trying to attack the American people.
Live and local.
Gabe, Mike, Ken, you guys are my morning cup of mental coffee. I love the show. Definitely a convert from the old one.
This is News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Gabe?
Yes, sir.
Hold your horses. Dang it. You can geek out in a little bit.
Okay.
I promise I'll let you geek out.
All right.
6:50 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here and Ken Williams. The number is 314-912-1019. Okay, here's what's on the hot stove right now is the Missouri libraries. They are hopping mad. The Jay Ashcroft says, you know what? The time has come for parents to sign off on what children are going to take home and consume. Obviously, this is in the wake of, as we have discovered in many public school libraries, some just awful, explicit materials that are designed to groom children. I don't know how else to put it, just to groom children. And Jay Ashcroft, the Secretary of State, who has statutory authority over libraries in the state as far as policymaking goes, he's proposed a rule. It's not in effect yet. It's still in that comment period. And the libraries are saying, people, comment, say you're against it. This is censorship. And we just heard Bob Priddy, formerly the Missouri Net news director, say, boy, this is how you get censorship and government telling people they can't have books. It's Orwellian, I tell you. He didn't say that, but that's what essentially is what he's saying.
That's the implication.
Got Pam on the line here. Pam, I understand you're actually a librarian.
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, so is this the camel nose under the tent of censorship and big government authoritarianism, or is this just common sense?
I don't know. I'm small town. I order all the books from my library, and I haven't even seen those kind of books that I know of that I can order. Now, we're small town. I mean, population 600. So, but I know I cannot give an R-rated DVD to someone under 17.
Yeah.
Without.
So that rule is already in place now. Is that coming from a larger body above you, or is it just kind of your rule where you are?
I don't know. I'm one of 5 libraries in Audrain County, and my district manager, these are our rules.
Okay.
As
now
they should
I am seeing they are showing us these things where libraries are in trouble for these things, but as far as I know, I don't even see those things to order.
Hey Pam, let me ask you this real quick, and then we got somebody on the line who has got some thoughts as well. When you hear somebody say, "Okay, some things parents should sign off on," we're not saying you can't have them, but you ought to keep them somewhere to where an 8-year-old isn't just going to grab something that's going to have graphic material. From the perspective of somebody working in the libraries, Is that threatening free speech to say minors should have their parents to sign off on it?
No, sir, I don't think so. We have to have them do that for movies.
That's true. That's a great point.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
That's
there
a
it
great
is.
point. It really is. We've already got that in place. So just the type of media we're talking about.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it's something that isn't infiltrating all of our libraries. Thank you so much for at least giving us a little bit of confidence to know that it's not quite everywhere yet.
No, sir. My branch manager would not let us do that.
All right.
Absolutely. Hey,
Thank
Pam.
you.
Thanks for listening, Pam.
Thanks so much, Pam. Really appreciate you being on News Talk STL. And we've got Clyde next. Hey, Clyde, you're on News Talk STL.
Hey, good morning. How you doing today?
Good.
morning.
What do you think?
Good.
I'm going to tell you what. I think Pam comes from a good area, and we need to have more people like her in the system. You know, it seems to be, fellas, the problem is the cities. You get out in the smaller towns and rural areas, you know, there's a little more common sense. Because you don't hear about this. You didn't hear about it, and I'm from Bloomsdale, Missouri. You didn't hear about sexual illicit material for kids in Bloomsdale because people out there just aren't going to put up with it.
Yeah, it's the big cities, Clyde, and it's also the university towns.
Yeah, you know, I know those other states where the Democrats run things. It gets a little weird every now and then, but hey, you know, we were talking about Herschel Walker earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm a Republican. I voted Democrat one time. I won't mention what time, and that was a mistake. I should have went for the old guy that brought us a great racket, but
Well,
I didn't.
We forgive you.
You know, I was conned. So anyway, Herschel Walker, just as intelligent as he may be, I mean, I did a little research on him. He's a great, smart guy. He just comes across not so smart. He refused to wear a tie, refused to play the part. He wanted to wear turtlenecks and sweaters, and you know that may be who he is. He's a well-built fellow, but every now and then you got to look the part to get the part.
Well, I mean, of course, Fetterman was wearing
A hoodie.
and one
Yeah.
Walmart shorts and sweatshirts, you know, but he still got elected. No, I mean, to me, what Herschel Walker was just
Fetterman
not.
had a pulpit.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
You know,
True.
he had a pulpit, and that's what he needed, and that's what he used. Plus, he was already in office, you know. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about
Warnock.
Warnock.
Warnock,
Yeah, Warnock had a pulpit.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Warnock. Yeah.
You're right.
I'm sorry, I got my people. Yeah.
No,
I get
you're
it.
right.
Yep, I get it. No, Clyde, I get what you're saying. Hey, appreciate you being on the program. I just, with Herschel Walker, great football player, just did not run a great campaign and just wasn't compelling.
He wasn't a great candidate.
And there's a lot of independents out there that say, no, I'm not worried about the R and the D. They make a decision based on other stuff, and he just wasn't that compelling. Clyde, appreciate you being on News Talk STL.
Right,
but back to this right here. I mean, this is where I am a darn near a free speech absolutist.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't infringing on free speech. Jay Ashcroft's proposal is not infringing on free speech.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, you can't even make the argument that this is an infringement on free speech. It's like he's not removing any books.
No.
He's not preventing any of that. What is the rule?
Yeah, listen to this quote here, and I'm looking at this Missouri News Service story, which I've been a subscriber of them for a long time. It's a very liberal news service. Joe Kohlerman chairs the Intellectual Freedom Committee at the Missouri Library Association. He said, if it's approved, the measure would make less information available to people who need it. Here's his quote. I mean, like, this is why we pay tax dollars for libraries to have access to information. And if that information is controlled for political means, then we are sort of undermining the purpose of libraries in general.
What?
Is it political to have genderqueer available to third graders, dude?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, the whole argument is like, well, we're making it less available. Okay, if what we're doing, if you just break down what we're doing is we're simply saying, okay, in front of you have all the books and you have a little kid there. Now what we want to do is we want to place parents in between the little kids and the books. That's all the rule is doing.
That's it.
We haven't changed the access to it unless you're presuming that parents would necessarily block their children from getting this. It's almost the same argument as the school choice sort of argument. It's like, you're just funding private schools. Well, no, only if your public school is so bad that everybody's going to leave. You're presuming that people given a choice are going to choose something opposite than what you think. That's what you're presuming. So you're presuming the parents are going to see these books and they're going to say, no, my kids can't have these. And they're just like, you're restricting the books. No. Apparently, I'm protecting children from this garbage that you want to push on them.
Or can't have them yet.
Or can't have them yet. That's true. It's an age thing also.
And guess what? It's the parents' prerogative. They're the ones who should be able to be making these decisions, period.
Seems common sense, but then again,
common sense.
I'm on the right.
Yeah.
All right, just ahead here. Oh, let's have some fun, shall we, guys?
Yes, please.
Hot takes from liberals on the Brittany Griner deal.
This ought to be great.
You're going to love these. They're so smart. And by smart, I mean dumb.
Get your coffee.
Yep. It's coming your way here at about 7:04 on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Kenny Zhu, president of Color Us United.
Race became a profitable industry. That's what happened. Racial victimhood. We all believe in civil rights, but then there are people who actually profit off of racial victimhood in this country. Diversity, equity, and inclusion right now, the new hot thing in companies, is a $10 billion plus industry.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30
on News Talk STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomas. He was allegedly a key player in one of the most horrific terror attacks of the 80s. A former Libyan intelligence official accused of working on the bomb that brought down Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland in 1988 is in U.S. custody and will face federal charges in Washington.
The Pan Am bombing killed 270 people, including 190 Americans, among them Stephanie Bernstein's husband.
I was really skeptical that we would ever see this day come.
The arrest of Abu Aguila Mohammed Massoud is a milestone in a decades-old investigation. He was charged 2 years ago while in Libyan custody.
Our government, the Department of Justice, has always said to us, we are committed to following the evidence wherever it leads. And I think what today shows is that that was not an empty promise.
Justice Department filings show Massoud confessed to taking part in the attack for the late Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. He's the third Libyan intelligence official charged in the U.S., but would be the first to appear in an American courtroom for prosecution. I'm Julie Walker.
Snow out west, heavy snow across northern California. It's moving into the plains. Eventually will cross the Midwest on into the Northeast later in the week. They are breathing a bit easier on the Big Island. Hawaii's Mauna Loa volcano is calming down.
We have good news to report. The eruption still is at an extremely low level at this point, and it's contained within the cinder cone at the Fissure 3 vent. So it is no longer producing lava that is moving outside and down the mountain.
Ken Hahn with the U.S. Geological Survey. The river of molten lava stalling less than 2 miles from a major highway. Mauna Loa recently awoke after a 40-year slumber. Dow futures up 62 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold, the highest-rated precious metals firm in the country. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
From the studio that brought you Miracles from Heaven comes 5,000 Blankets.
There are over 5,000 homeless souls in this city alone, so it is Philip's wish to reach each and every one of them with a comforting gesture.
Inspired by an extraordinary true story.
We have to believe we can make a change, no matter how small.
Anna Camp stars in 5,000 Blankets. Exclusively in theaters for 2 nights only, December 12th and 13th. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. For tickets and info, go to 5000blanketsmovie.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We're doing better. It was very busy. Right now, the only major incident we have is 64 westbound between Bandavender and Boyle. Due to an earlier vehicle fire, they still have the 2 left lanes closed, so you're jammed back to about Forest Park Grand. 55 northbound looks better. We cleared an incident off to the left side at Route M. It's just busy coming up through Carondelet and Virginia so far. 70 eastbound was crowded east of 270 due to an earlier incident, but that should thin out pretty fast. This report sponsored by NetSpend All Access account. NetSpend All Access. Get the mobile banking account with perks that add up. Banking services provided by an account established by Pathward, NA, member FDIC. Deposit account opening subject to registration and ID verification. Terms and costs apply. Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. A quiet Monday, maybe a little fog early in the day and stubborn clouds hanging in there, but some peekaboo sunshine not out of the question, too. Morning lows near the freezing mark, afternoon highs in the mid to upper 40s. Tuesday will start dry, but rain's going to roll in from the west, maybe even a few rumbles of thunder. We're talking highs in the mid 50s, which means this is all rain, but quite a bit of it, half an inch to maybe an inch, Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday night. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by All Solutions Pest Control, 636-486-7888, or visit them at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
The Range St. Louis West is all about safety. That's why training is a critical part of what we do. No one wants to be in a situation where seconds count, but help is minutes away. But if that day comes, are you ready? No matter what your firearm experience level is, we have courses and instructors that can help. The Range St. Louis West is the area's premier training facility, shooting range, and all things firearms retail facility. Check us out online at therangestl.com or stop by and visit with our professional staff. The Range St. Louis West. Are you ready?
As a noun, hiatus is an interruption in time, a pause, or a break. As a tequila, hiatus is naturally clean yet complex, ideal for sipping neat, but it also shines in a cocktail. Some companies cut corners, but we prefer to take our time as our blue agave plants take up to 8 years to fully ripen. We got your taste at Hiatus Tequila. Go on a hiatus from the everyday. You deserve it.
Get 10% off your first order using coupon code HOLLY10 on shophiatustequila.com. Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and NewstalkSTL.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
The arguments for and against a Colorado law that is purported to be anti-discrimination now has been able to marinate for about a week after one of those laws is being challenged again, the 303 Creative case. Now, you've heard about this. This is where the Christian website designer says, I'm only going to do wedding websites for traditional couples, male-female couples, and she got in trouble with Colorado, the same group, the Human Rights Commission there, that lost at the Supreme Court already over the cake baking case. So at 8:05, 1 hour from right now, Virginia Allen from the dailysignal.com is going to be with us. She's obviously covering this for the Daily Signal, but she says this is a much bigger impact case than what people may realize, and it's not about religious freedom, even though her religious beliefs are what's led her to say, I'm not going to do this.
It's the interesting wrinkle in this.
It's a very interesting wrinkle. So 8:05, we're going to have that conversation. It is 7:07 right now. Got Gabe here, got Ken here. How about some liberal hot takes on the Brittany Griner swap? You know, the basketball player for the Merchant of Death.
Yeah. It's the dumbest, the worst swap, I think, in American history, isn't it? The worst prisoner swap?
Well, prisoner swap, yes. I mean, as far as like the worst trades.
Oh, that's Babe Ruth.
That's Babe Ruth. That's the Boston Red Sox trading Babe Ruth, or basically selling him. Colorado Rockies basically paying the Cardinals to take Nolan Arenado is up there.
That was pretty bad.
But this is, I mean, good for us.
Yeah.
But Brittany Griner for the Merchant of Death is a whole, like, kind of in that league.
Yeah.
I saw an interesting meme. It kind of went like this. El Chapo sitting at a table, like being investigated, and he's sitting there tapping his finger, and he's waiting for Mexico to grab one of the professional athletes in the United States so he can get his chance to go back.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Waiting for an American to mess up somewhere. Actually, hold that thought, because after we get these liberal hot takes on this, that brings up an interesting point that I was thinking about over the weekend, and I'll tell you why, because I've got kind of a personal concern about this. But John Kirby, who's National Security Council, basically spokesperson, so when they need somebody more coherent than Karina Jean-Pierre, they bring out John Kirby. And he was on with Martha Raddatz on ABC's This Week, and here's the exchange between the two about the swap.
And you talked about Victor Boot, a lot of criticism. And let me give you some more from Democratic Chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, Robert Menendez. We cannot ignore that releasing Boot back into the world is a deeply disturbing decision. We must stop inviting dictatorial and rogue regimes to use Americans overseas as bargaining chips.
He would have gone free anyway in 2029. He wasn't serving a life sentence.
It's a long way away.
It's 6 years away. And nobody's doing backflips over there about the fact that Mr. Boot is a free man 6 years earlier than he would have been. But we're going to protect our national security. And if Mr. Boot decides to go back to his previous line of work, then we're going to do what we need to do to hold him accountable and to protect our interests.
Clearly you're not.
No.
It's not like, well, he was going to get out next Thursday.
You know what might be different today versus 6 years from now?
He could be dead.
And a war in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Hello. I was like, we're in a period currently where the Russians, and Ukrainians are in a race for arms for their war, and we just released one of the most prolific Russian arms dealers in history back to his home during the conflict. That 6 years makes all the difference. At least I would think so, to the Ukrainians.
And he mentioned that no one has been doing backflips about this. Yeah, they have.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, his Brittany Griner's wife. They were all up on the same stage doing backflips.
Yep, the rhetorical backflip.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, without a doubt. But for him to say, well, he was going to be out in 2029 anyway, so we might as well get something for this, is what the implication is. No. 2029. If there's somebody who makes a living, I don't know, murdering people, who is unrepentant because that's their mission in life, and you say, well, they were going to get out 9 years now, 6 years from now anyway. I mean, what's the big deal? Well, it means a lot of extra murder victims is what it means.
Yeah. So if somebody who had a sentence that's going to be up in a few years escapes, we're supposed to they were going to get out anyway.
Have we gotten desensitized to their words? Because that's really a damning statement he made.
Yeah, well, I think we're desensitized in the way that no one holds them to account for what they say anymore. It feels like, I'll say it this way. They seem to feel so emboldened that their position is the default position, that their worldview is the predominant one, that they're saying almost anything out loud these days.
They really are, Gabe. And I mean, you can equate this to the Benghazi remark that Hillary Clinton made.
Oh, what does it matter anyway?
At this point, what does it matter?
What difference does it make? Yeah, at this point, what difference does it make?
Well, same thing.
Yeah, at this point, Mike, what difference does it make that he was going to get out 6 years later?
My favorite part is, well, if he goes back into his old line of work, we're going to hold him accountable. No, you're not, obviously.
If he goes back into his own line of work, do you know what that means? Many Americans are dead before he can act.
Precisely. Well, it depends on who you ask. Because Representative Sheila Jackson Lee,
oh boy,
the pinnacle of intelligent thought in Washington, D.C., was on the Thinkers Thinking TV show, which is Joy Reid on MSNBC. And here's how she views Of course, she is arguing that we should all be celebrating that Brittany Griner's back in the United States, which I couldn't care less one way or the other. But here's her take, for instance, with what you just said.
But in actuality, his weapons might have been used to kill Americans. He has not killed Americans. I'm not saying he's not a nasty, bad guy, but I will tell you that I believe that Americans should know that the sovereignty of their nation will always be behind them, and they'll never be forgotten.
Unless you're in Afghanistan or Iran, or your name is Paul Whelan, or,
any of the other things. Oh, gosh.
He hasn't killed anybody, but he just supplied the weapon.
He just facilitated it. It's like, well, I mean, there's a distinction there, Ken. I mean, you have to make the distinction because obviously it's a very important distinction, and it makes his crime so much less than the other, thieves, rapists, and murderers who we've let go also.
Okay, couple minutes left here. Here's why. I know this circles back to something you just said, Ken. My wife has a conference she's going to in April in Mexico.
Oh.
I don't like this now. Because even Democrats, liberal Democrats, are saying, boy, we just made American tourists and business people a lot more valuable for leverage.
Big time. Man. And I hate to tell you that, Mike, but it's true.
It is. Yeah. That's why now she's going to be in an area which is generally very secure.
Right.
But it still makes me nervous.
Yeah, I think she should be a little nervous too, and make sure to stay in large groups and everything.
Tell her, not to tell her not to take any of that THC vaping.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's Mexico. They got better stuff than that down there.
Don't bring your vape pen.
So does this give you all any pause before traveling internationally?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there were things that were giving me pause anyway. Like I had already, knocked a few countries off of my want to go list because of how they behaved recently. Hello, Australia. But there are other places too where I'm just like, this is the security situation worth braving for the experience, and that equation gets worse and worse for a lot more places in the world, as we go here, and that trade. That giving in to the negotiating with terrorists, essentially what we did, has made it worse.
My daughter, she when she was in college still, Madison, she had an opportunity to go over to England and study for a year, and I just told her, I said, look, just don't. I really don't want you to do this, and because sex trafficking and all that is going on. I mean, and she's a little girl, but now I would almost demand that she not go.
Yeah, I mean, is Europe one of the areas you'd put on that list?
Possibly.
There are areas of Europe, I think, that are becoming no-go zones, I think.
Yeah, precisely. So what you've got is the delusion of the left essentially praising the weakness of the Biden administration and trying to tell us we should feel good about it.
Yeah.
It sucks how accurate that description is. Because that's exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. All right, State Senator Andrew Koenig going to be with us at 7:35. Get a preview of what's going to happen in Jefferson City come January. And how about this, just ahead, do St. Louis alder critters deserve a raise?
Heck no.
Some of them think differently. Kind of, sir.
Pardon my language.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why that discussion's happening right around 7:20 on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. The heck you say over there? Gosh darn it.
Heck, Gabe.
You and your potty mouth.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. You want to give me more information? From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Our biggest delay this morning, 6440 westbound past Vandeventer. They've been trying to get a tow truck out there for quite a while now where there was an earlier vehicle fire. 28-minute delay back near Market. 55 northbound north of Richardson, right lane closed. We had a drive shaft come off a tractor trailer. 10 vehicles struck that debris. There's a pumper out there trying to wash things down, so the right lane is closed. 55 northbound north of Richardson. This report sponsored by Ozark Mechanical Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Ozark Mechanical Heating and Air Conditioning is celebrating our 10th anniversary with up to 15% off a complete system installation. We're an authorized York dealer providing residential and commercial service in the St. Louis area. For a free estimate, call 636-317-1234 or ozarkmechanical.com.
Columbo here for Eggers Heating and Air Conditioning. Christine and I trust our home with Eggers because at Eggers, customer satisfaction is the #1 priority. And as you know, St. Louis winters are too cold and unpredictable to not be prepared for. So if your furnace isn't keeping your family warm and comfortable, don't wait and risk the problem getting worse. Whether it's time for repairs or replacement, Eggers has you covered with the clarity and attention to detail your home deserves. Contact Eggers now at 636-242-6515 or at callaggers.com.
The roller coaster. No matter your age, no matter the amusement park, it never ceases to bring the emotional goods, the anticipation, the excitement. And then the fear and adrenaline rush that comes with the king of all rides. The same can be said when it comes to your retirement. Lots of questions and concerns that for some can feel like a roller coaster. Will you be able to continue to live as comfortably as you do now? Will you have complete financial independence? Will you run out of money? How about taxes, Social Security, or health care? Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group can answer these questions and more with their in-depth portfolio x-ray. Call 636-230-8824 or visit theallfinancialgroup.com. And let's save the fear and adrenaline rush for the amusement park.
Investment advisory services offered by All Financial Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor in Missouri. Insurance products are offered through its affiliate, All Insurance Group, LLC, licensed in Missouri and Illinois.
Fox News commentary.
Disney is once again sucking the fun out of the happiest place on earth. I'm Tommy Lahren. Find out the popular ride they're canceling next.
Starting to realize your small business is a little overwhelmed by the holiday rush? It's still not too late to get all of your shipping and mailing under control with Stamps.com. Sign up right now, and you'll be printing your own postage in just minutes with discounted USPS and UPS shipping rates. Just go to Stamps.com, click the mic at the top of the page, and use code BUSINESS for a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale. That's Stamps.com, code BUSINESS.
Disney is at it again, this time canceling the very popular Splash Mountain ride at its parks. The ride is based on the 1964 film Songs of the South and has been around since the late 80s, but apparently it has just now become too racist to bear due to its racist undertones. If you're not quite sure what's racist about a waterlog ride, you're not alone because most of us don't get it either. But that's because we are normal and don't look for things to be offended by, including theme park rides. But the ride will now be converted to Tiana's Bayou Adventure based on the 2009 film Princess and the Frog. Is this really necessary? Was the ride really that offensive? Or is this yet another woke and worthless virtue signal? Something is always gonna offend someone. Why are we making a national habit out of cancel culture? Pretty soon there won't be anything or anyone left. But leave it to Disney to suck the absolute fun out of absolutely everything. I'm Tommy Lahren.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at NewstalkSTL.com or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
State Senator Andrew Koenig going to be with us in about 14 minutes. Going to give us a preview of what's coming up. I am fearing, guys, that this is going to be another legislative session of Republicans versus conservatives, which opens the door for Democrats and liberals to make gains again, policy-wise, in the state of Missouri. But we'll get Andrew's take on that just ahead here. I'm Mike Ferguson, 7:22 right now. Gabe Pfeiffer, question for you.
Yes, sir.
If you are doing a job, let's say wherever it is, pick out whatever job it is that you have.
Okay.
And you're performing that job on par with the Board of Aldermen in St. Louis City.
The Board of Aldermen.
Right.
Okay.
So you're doing
I'm
your job as well as they are doing
them.
their job. Okay.
Okay. So I'm unemployed.
No, you're asking to double your salary.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
So wait, the job hasn't changed either, right?
No, no.
Like
Well,
the
kind of,
the
kind
scope
of,
the
kind
job.
of.
All right. Well, maybe
The
All right.
duties of the job have not changed.
Okay.
So as we know, the city of St. Louis is going from 28 wards to 14 wards.
All right.
So bigger areas.
Sure. Okay. You're
Bigger,
serving
bigger
more
population.
people.
Yeah.
All right.
Serving them so darn well.
Serving more people.
So there's a proposal to move the base salary for alder critters from $37,000 a year, because it's considered a part-time job. And by the way, $37,000 a year for a part-time job in the Midwest is pretty good.
That's very good
Pretty
for a
damn
part-time
good.
job. My goodness.
But they want to move that to $72,000 a year. So when I say, and I needed to clarify this earlier, when I say that there are some people in St. Louis City Hall who want the alder people to make more money, I'm talking about the actual paychecks, not just the bribes.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. This is in addition to the bribes. Right. Okay. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. Still no.
Now, not every
Also, heck no.
Yeah, man, you and your language today.
My potty mouth today.
I'm telling you.
No.
Now, not all alder people are for it, but so far it looks like there is, enough momentum. It could come up to a vote fairly soon, something that could go into effect maybe as early as January.
So do they think that by doing this, it'll keep them from stealing?
They didn't say that.
It's like maybe if we paid them more, they'd stop taking bribes.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not how that works.
It's not. But I thought I'd throw that out there.
The way that
Float that balloon.
the way that they said it is that if you pay people more, people who are looking at it as a vocation or a career will be more attracted to it. I don't know that's a good thing.
No.
I also am not going to be one to say necessarily it's always a bad thing. If you want to go into public service, you want to go into politics, I think you do need to pay people enough to possibly avoid conflicts of interest, but doubling your salary when they're doing a crap job to start with seems insane.
Absolutely. Well, and besides that, I mean, it's a part-time job. Why would you pay a full-time salary for a part-time job?
Now, there is another proposal that, and it's actually by somebody who, it's Alderman Joe Vaccaro, who opposes the pay, doubling the pay.
Okay, somebody's got some integrity, I guess.
And he says, but if you're going to do it, then declare it a full-time position.
Right. Okay.
And work full time.
And work full. Well,
but
I don't think I want them in. I don't think I want them in the office anymore.
That's the thing.
They'll do more stuff.
Yeah, you don't want them to do anymore because everything that they've done has been crap, which is another reason why not to give them a raise.
Yeah.
It's like an employee coming into the boss's office and saying, "Hey, look, I need a raise." He said, "Well, you've been absent a lot, and really, you're only working part time. But yeah, I'd like to get a double." My salary here.
But you've crashed 3 of our company vehicles and burned down the warehouse.
I know. But I really need double of what I'm making.
We're dealing with 3 lawsuits because of you.
But I still really need that money.
Right. Like there are several other employees who are in the hospital because of your actions.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. It's like, hey, that one wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
It's like, no, yeah, it was.
Not mine. Not on me.
Not on me.
So that's and here's for instance, you'll see this sometimes with the state legislature because they make, I think it's about the same, about 36,000, 37,000, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while somebody says,
wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
The state level makes
right
what the aldermen are currently making, and they're trying to double the aldermen's?
Yes. Oh, in Kansas City, the city council members, that is a full-time job.
Okay.
Oh, and they make $70,000, $80,000 some odd $1,000 a year, but it is a full-time job. And Kansas City, the city is much bigger than St. Louis.
Well, yes, but still, it's like
that's a lot of money.
And you just see the money.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I know. The money they make in Illinois is obscene, but I'm just
They make
that's
like
something else.
80 some odd thousand, or maybe more.
Yeah,
in some of those
6 figures. Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of money the lawmakers make. Now, I am one of those that gets a little side eye looks from people when I say, when you look at, for instance, the Missouri State Legislature, I think they should make more money, and the reason for that is because right now you can really, the only people who can afford to run and take that job are people who can afford to run and take that job. So if you've got a guy who, is a blue collar worker, they're a tradesman, they're whatever, and you say, man, I'd love to get a good old conservative blue collar guy or woman in there and get that perspective, but they can't take 5 or 6 months off, and go in there. But what the lobbyists and the law firms can put somebody on loan and dispatch somebody out there to make that kind of money through the year. Or somebody who's retired can do it, that kind of stuff. But I think that you don't need to go crazy with it, but I actually think they should look at making it look a little more like a full-time position, because I know they're only in session from January through May, but anybody who thinks what they're doing is only part-time is not paying attention. That is a year-round full-time job that people do in that line of work.
go ahead, Gabe.
I was going to say, I could get behind the state legislature having a full-time salary, full-time job.
Right.
It's like, but once you start getting into the cities where the job that you're actually doing should be part-time, full-time salaries seem exorbitant.
And I see the argument. You could have a good debate about that, about state level employees going to Jeff City, taking a lot of that time. And like you said, it's not just 5 months, because they're actually working for the candidacies and all that stuff. I mean, you round it out, it's pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, even outside the
year.
even outside the campaign season. And I'm sorry to jump on the other. You are getting calls year round. You are dealing with the different departments and commissions on behalf of constituents year round, because passing laws is not your only job. You're dealing with constituent services all year round. Now, most of the lawmakers go ahead and take a 12-month paycheck, but it's $36,000, $37,000, $7,000 a year, and they're still traveling an awful lot. There are constantly hearings that happen around the state. Now, I'm not saying they should make $150,000 or $200,000 a year or $100,000 a year or anything like that. But I'm saying is I'd like to open up the job to attract people who would otherwise not be able to go, and saying, I can't run. I've got something to offer, but I can't take 5 months off.
Yeah, that guy sitting there with his wife in the kitchen table saying, look, we're going to have to make a sacrifice here, but I can make enough money for us to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to take a little cut for a few months, but we'll be back next year with it, or next couple of years, few years, whatever. This is going to be my sacrifice to getting things done in Jeff City for the people.
And that's a much different conversation than saying, oh, well, I'm going to take 5 months off to run for a job that's only going to pay part-time, so I'm going to have to get another job after that anyway.
Yeah.
That's a different conversation, and I think you're right, Mike. That would put off a lot of good, well-rounded, properly minded people, hardworking Americans, from doing that, because their mind's on taking care of their families.
Yeah, I mean, and what's the right number? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm open to arguments as to how high or how low that line should be. But if you're going into it saying, I really want to run and make that amount of money, which is not very much, even by Midwestern standards, and our income requirements in this part of the country are nowhere near what's required on the coast, numerically.
Yep.
To say, okay, well, how are you supporting yourself? And if it's a law firm that says, ooh, we've got clients that love this stuff, can you get this through? Let's get you in the legislature.
Yeah, and I mean, when you include things like health insurance and stipends for travel, I mean, there are little things you can do to beef that up a little bit too. That would help.
Yeah, they do. Now, they do get per diems. They do get a mileage, and they do get a per diem, but it's a little bit. It's it's just paying for their gas and their food. That's about it. All right, 314-912-1019. Just ahead, we're going to talk to State Senator Andrew Koenig, not about his paycheck, but about what he expects in the upcoming legislative session. Should conservatives be hopeful, or should we be gearing up for a lot of activism this session? We'll talk about that around 7:35 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning, made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. St. Louis's place choose to talk.
Because that's where the votes are getting stolen. When you get into the facts and logic and reason thing, it drives me crazy because you're right.
I call it the oh my God virus.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasevich. Attorney General Eric Schmidt said Thursday his office helped convict a 38-year-old St. Francis County man of first-degree rape through the Safe Kit initiative, which was launched after an investigation found a backlog of untested rape kits in Missouri. This particular rape occurred back in 2014. Florissant Mayor Timothy Lowry attended the grand reopening of the TS Ditto photography studio at the Florissant Meadows Shopping Center yesterday. Much of the businesses in the center were destroyed by flooding back on July 26th. Missouri lawmakers will try again in 2023 to legalize sports betting after failing to pass such legislation earlier this year. Senator Denny Hoskins of Warrensburg has filed a bill for the upcoming January session that seeks to approve sports wagering and video lottery systems. And in sports, in college basketball, the Kansas Jayhawks blew out Mizzou 95-67 Saturday in Columbia, delivering the Tigers their first loss of the season. The 9-1 Tigers now head to Miami to play the University of Central Florida on Saturday. Tip-off is at 11 a.m. And the Blues fell to the Avalanche 3-2 in overtime at Enterprise last night. The Avalanche tied up the game with 9 seconds left in regulation and then scored the game-winning goal 29 seconds into overtime. Next up, the Blues welcome the Predators to Enterprise tonight. Puck drop is at 7 p.m. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We'll start with the good news. Our delays downtown are clearing. There was an incident at 64 westbound at Vandeventer, but it cleared about 7:15, and traffic is opening up. 55 northbound north of Richardson. What happened here is a drive shaft fell off a tractor trailer. 10 vehicles struck it. So they had the right lane closed north of Richardson, and then a little further north, you have the left lane closed. So a bit of a slowdown. Those are really our only two trouble spots this morning. This report is sponsored by Ozark Mechanical Heating and Air Conditioning, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Ozark Mechanical Heating and Air Conditioning is celebrating our 10th anniversary with up to 15% off a complete system installation. We're an authorized York dealer providing residential and commercial service in the St. Louis area. For a free estimate, call 636-317-1234 or ozarkmechanical.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Low-level clouds overhead, and with little clearing expected, temperatures will struggle to make it out of the mid-40s this afternoon. For those that do see some breaks in the cloud cover, temperatures will rise to the upper 40s. Either way, still cool enough that you will need an extra layer. Tomorrow, some warm air moves in ahead of an afternoon cold front. Temperatures will sit in the 50s, and then we'll have widespread showers through the day. That's been your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
As the old saying goes, winter is coming. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. This is why you need to call Hanson's right now. It's prime time for winter pruning of your trees before winter storms bring them down. Get on Hanson's schedule for winter dormant oil application on your trees to prevent insects from taking shelter there throughout the winter months, and have Hanson set you up for a preventative plant health care program to take care of those most important assets. Give them a call today. They're online 24/7, hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
All right, we should be touching base here with State Senator Andrew Koenig in just a moment or so. Here's my worry, and this is what's so frustrating, and I don't mean to belabor it because we've talked about it before, Gabe. But when you've got an overwhelming Republican majority, you should be saying, well, just how conservative is it going to be?
Yes, that should be the actual question.
That's not where we are in the state of Missouri right now because of, about a half a dozen people who have risen to the top of the leadership structure. And I don't know how they end up making it to the top of the leadership structure. But where we are now is, I'm afraid, going to be another legislative session of conservatives versus Republicans. Not versus Democrats or liberals, conservatives versus Republicans.
Yeah. It's the rhino wing, I guess. I mean, we maybe you don't want to go that far, but basically the much more liberal version of the Republicans fighting the conservatives, who conceivably should be the base of the Republicans. They should be the vast majority, the people in leadership. You asked a good question. How do these people get into leadership? And
that's the way politics works. A lot of it has to do with the areas that you represent. And we're now joined by State Senator Andrew Koenig, and Andrew puts up the good fight every year. So, Andrew, on a scale of to hooray, Ronald Reagan in Ronald Reagan's voice, how hopeful should conservatives be about the 2023 legislative session on some of these big ticket things that we're really hoping for? Noticeable tax cuts, robust school choice, all of these things that we've been pushing for a while now.
Yeah, I'm definitely hopeful that it's going to be a much better session than we did last year. Last year there was definitely a lot of infighting. We didn't get a whole lot done, but I do think this is going to be a much better session. We have in the Senate, we had a great freshman class come in, 8 new senators. So I am optimistic it's going to go very well. I do think initiative petition reform is going to be, or IP reform is going to be top of the list, along with CRT, addressing some of the transgender stuff, and hopefully some more tax reform. We've made a lot of progress on taxes over the years, and hopefully we can further that this year as well.
Good morning, Andrew. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So you're hopeful that the leadership will be a little more amenable to the more conservative things going on in the legislature, or is it just that the legislature is, the makeup of the legislature is just so much more conservative than last year that you're going to be able to push past them?
Yeah, at least the Senate is a lot more conservative. I'm hoping that leadership had a little bit of a wake up call with what happened in the primaries, and so I do think that the Senate is more conservative due to the new members, and so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get more stuff done.
Good morning, Andrew. This is Ken. Do you think that possibly, if there are any games played by the leadership, that the new people coming in are strong enough to say, hey, look, we're not playing it. We're not doing it. It just seems to me that these guys coming in aren't going to mess around.
Yeah, I know. I'm like I said, I'm very excited about the new freshmen coming in, whether it's Nick Schroer in St. Charles, Ben Brown in Franklin County. We have a lot of good freshmen coming in who are very conservative. And so the reinforcements are definitely helpful.
Let's go over a couple of these big ticket issue items. Let me follow up with school choice. I look at what Arizona did. I think that should be the model. What kind of appetite, what kind of possibilities can we get, and how close can we get to that in Missouri?
Yeah, so obviously school choice is something I've worked on nearly my entire career in the legislature. We passed the ESA bill in 2021. It's just now getting implemented this year. And so we now have kids on the program for the first time in Missouri's history going to private schools. As far as like blowing the doors off and making it available to every child in Missouri, I'm not terribly optimistic that can happen this year, partly because less so because of the Senate and probably more so because of the House. We have razor thin margins to pass something like expand school choice. One bill I did file this year was an open enrollment bill, which would allow, and I am optimistic we might be able to get that done. But as far as making full-blown ESAs, I'm less optimistic about that.
Andrew, are there any other potential legal changes on the books or getting ready to be put forth to empower parents right now? Because we've seen what Jay Ashcroft is doing. Are there anything in those veins that are going on?
Yeah, you mentioned like the critical race theory and some of that other stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do have an appeals process in the CRT bill, which does have a school choice component to it, and I am filing a update version of the bill for the ESAs, the Empowerment Scholarship accounts, to broaden it a little bit. It wouldn't be full-blown what Arizona has, but it would expand it.
Is this a matter of more mainstream moderate Republicans versus conservatives, or is this still a matter of rural versus other parts of the state? Because I know there's a lot of Republicans that feel a lot of heat from the public school establishment and the teachers unions in a lot of rural areas.
Yeah, this is really more suburban versus rural. So there's, obviously we don't have any Republicans in the inner city, but we do have, all the Republicans from the county generally support school choice, and it's more of the rural Republicans that don't.
Tax cuts?
So tax cuts, I am filing an income tax cap bill. We did pass it out of the Senate last year, but it died in the House. Really, it got all the way to the House floor, but never got a final vote. And so I am optimistic that I can get it through the Senate again. There's no reason why I wouldn't be able to. So hopefully we can get it through the House this year. Since we did pass an income tax cut already in special session, not sure how much we're going to be able to further that. But if we're ever going to get rid of the income tax, we need to broaden the base, sales tax base. And with this constitutional change, I do think that if we can get that through, it will allow us to do so.
We are visiting with State Senator Andrew Koenig. Obviously, budget is massive. Your colleague Bill Eigel is proposing that we're widen I-70 at least to start into 4 lanes both directions through most of the state. How feasible is that? Because it's been a little while since we put a big focus on infrastructure and highways in the state. What does need to be done and what can be done?
Yeah, generally transportation budget there's not earmarked projects in that. So that's something it goes to. The legislature's hands are a little bit tied. We can't really tell the department what to do, MoDOT, because their revenue sources are dedicated. But I have heard a lot of rumors about them widening it. Now it's a lot cheaper than it would be in the past, because what they have done in the past, especially in St. Charles, they do need to add a lane between 364 and 70. There's just huge pileups, during rush hour right there. And so they definitely need to widen that and making that interchange into 70 better, and add a third lane, at least a few exits out of St. Louis. But I have heard rumors they're going to expand it. One of the reasons why it'll be a lot cheaper than it would have been in the past is because of the Roach Porch Bridge is already being built. That's a $200 million bridge, and it needed to be replaced anyways due to its age. And they've done a lot of those, replacing a lot of the bridges that would have prohibited the expansion or made it cost prohibitive in the past. But a lot of those bridges have already been replaced, and so you don't have that cost if you wanted to add lanes. I definitely think that should be done and coming out a few exits in St. Louis and Kansas City, and maybe even in Columbia. So I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to start doing that.
All right, State Senator Andrew Koenig, website, social media, where do people get in touch?
on Twitter, Koenig for Mo. Also, Andrew Koenig on Facebook and electandrewkoenig.com.
All right. Hey, Andrew, appreciate you being back on the program.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
All right. State Senator Andrew Koenig, 314-912-1019. Just ahead. I don't know. I need to say it again, but the left ruins everything.
Yes, they do.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll explain just ahead around 7:51 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning, made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We're heavy and slow 270 north, but it's just pockets. Gravois up through Manchester. There was an earlier crash there. We are on the brakes 55 northbound at Richardson. We've got an incident blocking the right lane. A bunch of vehicles struck some debris. Otherwise, no major slowdowns. This report sponsored by Northern Tool and Equipment. This holiday season, Northern Tool and Equipment has the perfect gift for every builder and maker on your list. And the new deals dropping this week make it the best time to save on the brand you trust. Northern Tool and Equipment. We're made for gift giving. Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
The Vic Borselli Show.
We're knowing now that Twitter did affect elections, help Democrats steal elections. Let's see what the good John Cooper from Heritage Foundation has to say about that Monday morning at 9:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Let me tell you about my good friends Mike and Beverly Sloan over at Elite Printing and Packaging. Going on their 21st year in business, a success story that began in Mike's basement and now employs hundreds right here in the St. Louis community. Elite is a turnkey solution for all your retail printing and packaging needs. Custom built to suit your business. Call 636-561-8970 or email elitesolutionsgroup.com. And don't forget to use the code word Patriot to receive free design and artwork for your first project.
Since 2007, the state of Missouri and local governments have handed out almost $5 billion in tax subsidies or abatements to private developers. That money could have gone to basic services like schools and public safety. And studies show these subsidies don't produce the promised jobs and growth. If developers want to build a sports stadium or shopping mall, why should they be given our tax dollars to do it? It's time to reform economic development subsidies. The Show Me message has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, it's Chris Arbs. Proud to be a part of 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL, the station that brought true conservative talk back to St. Louis. The voices you know and trust from a homegrown station that is locally owned and operated. And we'd love to help your local business get the word out by becoming your advertising partner. Just send an email to info@newstalkstl.com to get details on how to join the team here at the new conservative voice for St. Louis, 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
What citizen wouldn't want to make America great again?
Live and local.
And their leadership has been substandard.
I think the word substandard is immensely polite.
This is News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
You know what, guys? Leftist culture warriors just like ruin everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know Arbor and Ridley and Tatum and Everest, Quincy and River and Shiloh and Harper. But do you recall the most ambiguous reindeer of all? Rudolph the gender-neutral reindeer had a very butch hairdo. And if you ever saw them, you would always say, "Hey, you." All of the
Hey,
other
you.
reindeer used to laugh and make them frown. They never addressed poor Rudolph using the correct pronoun. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, "Rudolph, so androgynous, won't you guide my sleigh for us? Then how the reindeer loved them as they shouted out with glee. Rudolph the gender-neutral reindeer. It's cool to be non-binary.
Oh, ruined. Ruined
Destroyed.
forever and ever.
Okay, next time you sing that in a Christmas carol, try not to think of that.
Oh, no.
By the way, do you know who Sam Brinton is?
Sam Brinton, no.
Yeah, he's that freak that the Biden administration hired to be like the assistant deputy secretary
Disposal,
of like nuclear
Oh,
waste or
the
something. Yeah.
bald dude with the beard who wears dresses.
Yes.
Okay.
And unfortunately, like mini skirts and high heels.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that somebody like that isn't well adjusted? He's facing a felony charge of stealing some luggage in an airport, remember?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
He's now facing a second charge in a separate case where he is now accused of stealing jewelry worth over $1,700 in a second luggage theft. This one happening in Minnesota. He actually could face up in it. The first one was in Nevada. This one's in Minnesota, apparently from another airport situation. He could face up to 10 years in prison for stealing this bag. Now, he's not going to, but he could face that. He's working in the energy department. And yeah, that's the guy that you're talking about is, he's bald and sometimes he has a beard. Sometimes he just has a mustache and, he wears like mini skirts and dresses.
But he always has a wealth of jewelry over his dresses.
Yeah. And women's handbags and things like that.
Now we know where he gets them.
Yeah. From the,
right. That's how he
from the airport.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. I think he ended up having a fetish for stealing women's items, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to wear these.
Yeah.
And that's where it started. I get it now.
And remember how much the leftist culture warriors celebrated this dude.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Him and then Levine.
Yeah,
and,
Levine.
and then somebody.
Levine.
Yeah,
The guy.
whichever.
Yeah, it was Richard.
Admiral Levine.
Yeah. He was born Richard and he changed his name to Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
And there was actually a picture of these two like side by side at the French ambassador's home because they were hosting this this sort of meet and greet international like diplomacy thing, and those are the two that the Biden administration sent. So there's a picture of these two in dresses.
Mm-hmm.
One the military uniform dress that the older dude is wearing, and then this dude is wearing literally a mini skirt like he's a college girl going out to the clubs.
It's wild.
With the high heels and everything.
Yeah, it's unreal. And you think, what? He would misbehave? He's not well adjusted? Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
What?
I know. It's almost like, there's no mental illness.
Do you
there.
think he'll get any time?
No.
No. I think
Really?
I think he'll be fired from his job and he'll have to pay a fine.
Yep.
Man,
I think that's where it's
that's
going
to piss a lot of people off, including me.
It should.
It should.
But I don't think that he actually will.
Again, we're talking about Biden's nuclear energy specialist. This person is in charge basically of making sure the nuclear waste from our plants goes where it's supposed to.
I wonder what his requirement or his qualifications are for that job. I want to check
it's a
on
good
that.
question.
I'm going to check on that.
He wears a size 4.
He checks the boxes. I know. I get it.
No, radioactive personality.
He's a radioactive personality. Checks it. Gabe, you're right in there. I think I need to do a little background check to find out.
Yeah. Let's check it out.
Yeah, I mean I saw that story pop up over the weekend, and because it happened, I guess it happened on Saturday evening or Saturday afternoon is when this actually happened. I'm thinking, first of all, how stupid do you have to be? Airports have cameras absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
Secondly, how stupid do you have to be to steal somebody else's stuff?
Yeah.
And thirdly, you probably get paid pretty well. Buy your own jewelry and buy your own mini dresses, dude. I can't believe those words just came out of my mind. Buy your own mini dresses, dude.
Yeah.
We're in clown world right now. I mean, who'd have thought that we'd have some, an obese man who believes he's a woman talking about his expertise on health and well-being and mental, you know what I mean?
Right. Yes, you're right.
Who would have thought that the radioactive personality, thieving cross-dresser is in charge of our nuclear energy?
And then he denied it, and then someone put up a picture of him actually having the having the luggage with him with a shirt on that he later wore that was of an LGBTQIA plus shirt, the flag.
Oh, yeah.
And then
flag.
with a really unique design on the outside of that. So it was definitely him.
Clearly identifiable person.
It was him.
This is a very identifiable. You're not going to say, it's like, no, it's a case of mistaken identity. Clearly that was. No. You are not going to get this person mixed up with anybody.
No.
Ever.
Not in the least bit. So he faces, in the first case in Nevada, he faces up to 5 years in prison. He's not getting it.
No.
In this case, he faces up to 10 years in prison, I suspect, just because of the value of what he stole. I mean, $1,700 worth of jewelry plus whatever else was in there.
Well, for Nevada, the bag, just the bag, was worth $3,600. Like, it was a designer bag.
Really?
It was a designer bag.
So what do they have to do to get put in jail?
Switch party affiliation?
Call the Ukraine and say hi.
I mean, switch party affiliation, maybe?
Switch party affiliation.
I mean,
that's it.
You know, that's the claim that you're an oppressed demographic, and, you know, I don't know. I mean, they'll do something.
If you called yourself a Republican, and actually, the minute any of these people identified as a Republican, straight to jail.
Straight to just right.
Where is that clip?
Of course, people like this are not getting appointed to a Republican administration.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Because, you know, we can identify crazy.
Yeah. No matter how they identify themselves, we can identify crazy.
Yeah, it's not part of my ideology.
I'm more of a conservatarian independent, but I can really identify crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we don't hire based on check boxes either.
That's
I mean,
true. Right.
they might be qualified and we hire them for that, you know, but the ones that are checking boxes, they're not going to get hired.
Yeah.
Okay, just ahead here, starting around 8:04, Virginia Allen from the Daily Signal. She is covering the Supreme Court cases, and the one that was argued this past week. You may think it has to do with websites. It doesn't. You may have to think that it does. You may think that it has to do with religious freedom. It doesn't. It's more about free speech, and it actually could have a direct impact on all of us. And we'll talk about that, like I said, right around 8:04, right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For $1 a day, if any covered appliance breaks in your home, we guarantee to fix or replace it. All makes and models, washers, dryers, refrigerators, air conditioners, and more. Guaranteed to be fixed or replaced for $1 a day. Call the Home Service Club now for free information.
800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. That's 800-399-3701.
Columbo and Katie.
Their job at this incredibly upscale fancy restaurant in London is to go around to the tables and hand feed grapes to the customers.
I don't even want to be like disturbed by a waiter that's filling up my glass every 5 seconds or asking me how I'm doing every 5
Correct.
seconds. I couldn't imagine someone coming over to me and being like, and a grape for you, my dear.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. A Libyan man who allegedly has the blood of 270 people on his hands is now in U.S. custody. The former Libyan intelligence operative accused of building the bomb that brought down Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland in December 1988. Stephanie Bernstein lost her husband Michael in the attack, says she wondered if she would ever see this day.
At first I thought I was dreaming when I was told what had happened, but it's happened, and I'm incredibly grateful that this man will be tried in the United States.
The suspect due to make his initial court appearance in U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. Iran's government continues to mete out the severest of punishments for some of those involved in recent protests across the country, with a second person being put to death.
The prisoner had been detained and convicted amid nationwide protests challenging the country's theocracy. The authorities had aired footage on state television which it claimed showed him stabbing two security force members to death and running away.
That's correspondent Charles Deladesma. Arizona's outgoing governor continues doing what he can to secure the border while he can.
Work crews have steadily erected hundreds of double-stacked shipping containers topped by razor wire along Arizona's eastern boundary with Mexico in a bold show of border enforcement by Republican Governor Doug Ducey, even as he prepares to leave office. Ducey pressed forward with construction of the barrier over the objections of the U.S. government, environmentalists, and an incoming Democrat governor who has called it a poor use of resources. Federal agencies have told Arizona that construction on U.S. land is unlawful and ordered it to halt. Ducey responded October 21st by suing federal officials over their objections, sending the dispute to court. Bernie Bennett reporting.
On Wall Street, Dow futures up 104 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-940-6161. That's 1-800-940-6161. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-940-6161. SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We're heavy and slow 270 north, but it's just pockets. Gravois up through Manchester. There was an earlier crash there. We are on the brakes 55 northbound at Richardson. We've got an incident blocking the right lane. A bunch of vehicles struck some debris. Otherwise, no major slowdowns. This report sponsored by Northern Tool and Equipment. This holiday season, Northern Tool and Equipment has the perfect gift for every builder and maker on your list. And the new deals dropping this week make it the best time to save on the brand you trust. Northern Tool and Equipment. We're made for gift giving. Joe Sonderman from the NewstalkSTL Traffic Center.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Low-level clouds overhead, and with little clearing expected, temperatures will struggle to make it out of the mid-40s this afternoon. For those that do see some breaks in the cloud cover, temperatures will rise to the upper 40s. Either way, still cool enough that you will need an extra layer. Tomorrow, some warm air moves in ahead of an afternoon cold front. Temperatures will sit in the 50s, and then we'll have widespread showers through the day. That's been your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Guys, are you getting up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? As we get older, so do our prostates, and that can mean urinary problems that affect our sleep and quality of life. Life is better outside the bathroom. Real Health's Prostate Complete can help you relieve those annoying and painful prostate symptoms. Available at Walmart or visit realhealth.com for more information and to order yours today. Try it risk-free with our 120-day money-back guarantee. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease.
We tried Dynavite for gut health and immune support, and after a couple of weeks, our little Gizmo was acting like a puppy again. His coat was shinier, he had a lot less scratching and shedding, and he seemed like his happy old self.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynavite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Get 10% off your next order of Dynavite nutritional supplements for dogs at Dynavite.com.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynavite.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows.
Mike Ferguson in the morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Katie, Jones and Arps.
Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble.
Subscribe and watch
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
It's a miracle we're not in prison.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Are you kidding me?
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
We know how important the U.S. Supreme Court rulings are, obviously. There is one that was argued this past week that is, I think, more important than a lot of people realize. It's been couched as a religious freedom issue or an LGBT rights issue, but is it actually something else and maybe bigger? We're going to talk about that in just a moment. I'm Mike Ferguson. I am now joined by Virginia Allen from the Daily Signal. And Virginia, appreciate you being back on the program. And the reason I start the conversation like that is that it's really not being argued as a religious freedom case when we're talking about the website developer in Colorado who was punished or was cited by the state of Colorado for not making a website for a same-sex couple, right?
Yeah, Mike, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be back with you. Yeah, so this is a really fascinating case. It's called 303 Creative, and web designer, like you say, Lori Smith. She's a graphic designer. She's a graphic artist based out in Colorado, and she wants to be able to create wedding websites for her clients without the fear of facing repercussions if she refuses to create a wedding website for a same-sex wedding specifically. And it's fascinating because while there's certainly religious components that come into this, Lori is a Christian. She holds to a traditional Christian view of marriage between one man and one woman. This case was solely focused on the issue of free speech. So the court has determined that creation for an artist to create works of art, such as even graphics, things that go on a website, that is a form of speech. So Lori doesn't want to be used, she doesn't want to be forced to use her creative abilities to create speech that she disagrees with. And her lawyers at Alliance Defending Freedom, that's a Christian legal organization, they argued before the Supreme Court on Monday that Lori has the constitutional right to free speech, and that also includes the right to not be forced to say things that she disagrees with, such as to promote a same-sex wedding.
Now, the state of Colorado is arguing, as I understand it, saying, well, we have public accommodations laws, and just because the business is digital doesn't exempt you from that when it comes to non-discrimination in the state. What's the, I guess, full approach that the Solicitor General of Colorado is taking beyond that, or is that basically the argument?
Yeah, so what Colorado is arguing is because of these public accommodation laws, like you mentioned, that Lori would have to create a website for a same-sex couple for their wedding, the same as she would any other client, because she's in the public square, because her business she has taken public. So they argue that because Lori, serves some clients, she has to serve all clients. And they take this so far as to say, well, if Lori doesn't serve, let's say, an LGBTQ couple's wedding, well, then what would stop maybe a similar instance where someone said that they didn't want to serve a wedding between a biracial couple? So that's one of the most common arguments that we're hearing from Colorado, that we heard before the Supreme Court from the lawyers from Colorado. And Kristen Wagner, who's with Alliance Defending Freedom, who represented Lori, she was asked this during a press conference on the steps of the Supreme Court right after arguments. And she said that the ruling in Lori's case will not affect public accommodation laws across the board, that Colorado will still be able to protect the rights of individuals, because at the end of the day, this isn't at all about Lori refusing to serve people. It's about her not wanting to promote a certain message. And Lori says this herself. She says, of course I will serve LGBTQ customers. I will create websites for them. Let's say a gay client comes to her and they have their own business selling shaving products. She'll be more than happy to create a website for that individual promoting their business. But it's the message specifically around same-sex weddings that Lori says, I can't violate my own religious views to promote that message. And in the same vein, it wouldn't be fair for, let's say, an individual who's pro-choice, who believes that there is a so-called right to abortion. It wouldn't be fair for them to be forced to create a website promoting pro-life principles. So this goes both ways. And at the end of the day, what Lori and her attorneys are arguing is this is a free speech case. And because free speech is our constitutional right, it's something that they are going to defend, and obviously did just defend on Monday, all the way to the Supreme Court.
We are visiting with Virginia Allen, and you can see her article at the Daily Signal. Supreme Court hears graphic designer's case in major free speech gay rights battle. And you led in very well to that next question I wanted to ask you, Virginia, which is, regardless of how the Supreme Court rules on this, why does this matter beyond Colorado? I mean, what's really being decided or is at stake here to all of us?
Yeah, and I had the privilege of asking Lori's attorney, Kristen Wagner, that very question right after arguments finished on the steps of the Supreme Court. And she said this has profound implications because Colorado is not the only state with these kind of public accommodation laws that can be weaponized against individuals who hold to a traditional view of marriage. And we've already seen, of course, within the state of Colorado, that Masterpiece Cake Shop owner Jack Phillips, he was taken to the Supreme Court and won his case in 2018 over this essentially exact situation of refusing to bake a cake for a same-sex wedding. And he's actually been taken back to court now. So the ruling in Lori's case is certainly going to affect his case. But then you have individuals like in Washington state, Barronelle Stutzman, who refused and declined to create custom flower arrangements for a same-sex wedding, and ultimately lost her business over that. So there's more and more instances across the country where this is happening. This is honestly, it's a weaponizing of the law to go after individuals who hold to a traditional view of marriage. And this is going to keep happening until the Supreme Court puts a line in the sand and makes it very, very clear that laws can't be used in this way to take away individuals' freedom of speech.
And we've got about a minute and a half left or so. Virginia, one thing I've noticed is that proponents of the anti-discrimination law, whether it's in Colorado or the marriage protection, what's called the Respect for Marriage Act, what the left calls Respect for Marriage Act in Washington, D.C., is there seems to be a trend of trying to link LGBT rights to racial issues and discrimination against, like you mentioned earlier, mixed race couples or things like that. What's that impetus that's being used to say LGBT rights and minority rights are being lumped together in these cases?
Unfortunately, I think so much of what we're seeing when those kinds of arguments are made, there's a lot of emotion on both sides around this issue, right? People have very, very strong opinions. And of course, this is such an issue that America has dealt with so much over the past several years, is the race issue. And so I think it's been used in some ways as a messaging tool to say, okay, we want to catch the attention of the American people around this issue and extend it far beyond just talking about LGBTQ rights. And now we're going to talk about this same issue, but from a racial perspective. And they're just, it's such a stretch, I think, to go that far, because what we've seen from the arguments that Kristen Wagner and so many other attorneys have made is that no, allowing for freedom of speech does not lead to discrimination and will not lead to these public accommodation laws being used in such a way where not everyone can be served. Everyone can still be served and should be served and will be served in these businesses. This case and other cases like it simply come down to what is the message that an individual is being asked to create. And any business owner should have the right to say, I'm not comfortable in creating that message. We don't have the right in America to say, I'm not comfortable serving you as a person. As a business owner, you of course have to serve every person that walks through your doors. You have to, and you should, but you also reserve the right to say that's a message that violates my personal views and beliefs. And under the First Amendment, I have a right to not say messages that are in violation of my views.
All right, you can find Virginia's reporting at the Daily Signal, dailysignal.com. Virginia, appreciate you being back on the show.
Thank you so much. Pleasure being with you.
And the U.S. Supreme Court seems to be indicating that they are going to favor Lori Smith and the free speech rights, but we'll find out probably right around the summertime of next year when they start to release those decisions. But it looks like it's going to be a 5-4 or 6-3, just based on the comments of the justices themselves. But hey, you just never know anymore. All right, 314-912-1019. Love to get your thoughts on it. Let's talk right here on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. You want to give me more information? From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Here in the last few minutes, we cleared incidents that were causing trouble. 55 northbound near Richardson and 44 eastbound west of 141. Again, those are cleared. I just see a little volume, 270 northbound running up north of Big Bend, primarily Doherty Ferry to Manchester. 55 north was just kind of crowded, Loughborough to Gasconade. 64 east is thinned out. You've just got that crowded pocket coming in from 170 through Hanley. And the Poplar Street Bridge Complex downtown looks fine. This report sponsored by Dell Technologies, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Dell Technologies' Days of Deals start now with savings on select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
I'm so tired of my water smelling like rotten eggs. Iron foul. It makes my clothes and home smell, and my sink and faucet look dirty. I'm calling Jones Air and Water Treatment for their solution to this pollution.
Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to your pollution. Call now for your free water analysis at 636-899-1040 and live with clean, great-tasting water. That's 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
855-672-1566. 855-672-1566. That's 855-672-1566.
Fox News commentary.
Disney is once again sucking the fun out of the happiest place on earth. I'm Tommy Lahren. Find out the popular ride they're canceling next.
Starting to realize your small business is a little overwhelmed by the holiday rush? It's still not too late to get all of your shipping and mailing under control with Stamps.com. Sign up right now, and you'll be printing your own postage in just minutes with discounted USPS and UPS shipping rates. Just go to Stamps.com, click the mic at the top of the page, and use code BUSINESS for a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale. That's Stamps.com, code BUSINESS.
Disney is at it again, this time canceling the very popular Splash Mountain ride at its parks. The ride is based on the 1964 film Songs of the South and has been around since the late 80s, but apparently it has just now become too racist to bear due to its racist undertones. If you're not quite sure what's racist about a waterlog ride, you're not alone, because most of us don't get it either. But that's because we are normal and don't look for things to be offended by, including theme park rides. But the ride will now be converted to Tiana's Bayou Adventure based on the 2009 film Princess and the Frog. Is this this really necessary? Was the ride really that offensive? Or is this yet another woke and worthless virtue signal? Something is always gonna offend someone. Why are we making a national habit out of cancel culture? Pretty soon there won't be anything or anyone left. But leave it to Disney to suck the absolute fun out of absolutely everything. I'm Tommy Lahren.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Let's kind of recap the newsy landscape, shall we?
The newsy landscape.
Newsist.
The newest newsy.
Yes, landscape out there. 8:22 right now. Got Gabe and Ken here. I'm Mike Ferguson. Will Kevin McCarthy become the next Speaker of the House? Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it looks like. But technically, it's not certain, Gabe. Technically. Because, there are a few Republicans pushing back, Matt Gaetz and a few others, who are not happy with this and they want somebody else. But about 85% of Republicans in the House, though, say they're behind Kevin McCarthy. And with still a few pushing back, that actually opens up the possibility, although highly unlikely, but the possibility that the Democrats could get on board and affect who the speaker is. It's still going to be a Republican,
right?
But they could get on board and move it a different direction. Congressman Don Bacon is a Republican from Nebraska. He was on Trey Gowdy's show, Sunday Night in America, with Trey Gowdy and had this observation.
And when a small number of people go against the team and breaks down the team, that's how you get beat. And by doing what they're doing, they're helping out Chuck Schumer, they're helping out Joe Biden, and they're helping out Hakeem Jeffries.
Okay, so kind of back to that discussion we had a little bit earlier about,
Right.
Do you just stay loyal to the team and stay with the tribe, or do you, say, no, this isn't good enough, we're willing to burn it down to get something better?
It's funny is that you only ever really hear this infighting claim from the people who are kind of rhino-ish, who are being challenged on the inside during things like primaries. But that's exactly when the one team thing kind of breaks down a little bit, is because this is where we refine our team. Some people need to get cut. Some people need to take a back seat. Some people, maybe you lost your arm, you're going to have to sit down and somebody else is going to take your starting spot. This is where it gets a little nasty on the inside because we're trying to refine the team. So when we go fight the other guys, now we're unified. Because we're behind a capable team and we've got the right leadership in place.
So what do we do? What should Republicans in this U.S. House do right now?
I think they should be voting for the most conservative person they can get into leadership position.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Damn the torpedoes.
That time he actually cussed.
Shush. It's a quote. That's a quote.
We'll see what comes of this. All right. Over the weekend, the St. Louis City Aldermanic Committee discussed a proposal to nearly double their salary. Double.
This is wild to me.
Yeah.
This whole story.
Now, remember, the number of wards in the city are getting cut from 28 down to 14. And so the proposal would increase the pay of the remaining alder critters from $37,000 a year to $72,000 a year. Technically, being an alderman is a part-time job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I suspect that they probably put more than 15 hours a weekend. But if they put in more hours, they probably do more damage. So I'm a little mixed on this.
Right. It's like, is it better that they put in more hours and continue to do what they're doing, or is it better that they just not show up at all?
Right.
It's like, yeah, I would almost pay them not to have any more legislation for like a good 3 years. It's like, you know what? I'll write you a check if you shut up for 3 years.
And not show up to work. I mean, hey, we've seen how well that works in the economy, paying people to not work.
I think that's a good point.
In recent years.
Well, I don't know. It may work differently in government because we keep them from screwing us up.
The last thing I want to hear in St. Louis City Hall right now is, I have an idea, guys.
Yeah.
No. Shh. No,
Yeah.
you don't. Stop.
No ideas.
None whatsoever. Although there's a certain logic to, well, they're going to be representing twice as many people, so we'll just pay them twice as much. But still, their job isn't really materially changing that much.
Yeah, it's twice this, doubling the salary.
Yeah.
Man, it's like, I do some pretty complicated stuff. I'm not sure I could actually get away with asking for a doubling of my salary. And I'm pretty good at what I do.
Well, look at the bang-up job they've done with St. Louis. You're saying they don't deserve a raise?
Well, I say they deserve a pay cut.
Jeez.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right. Also, the only Democrat in the U.S. House of Representatives to speak out against Twitter's censorship practices is Congressman Ro Khanna from California. Really curious what your gut reaction is going to be to this one, Gabe. He was on Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo yesterday, and he says there should be a balance between the First Amendment and respect.
We do want respect. I mean, we don't want accounts that are filled with anti-Semitism or just spewing racism or hate on these accounts. And I think Congress should have a honest, thoughtful conversation about how we uphold both of those values.
I'm not wild about saying we need to balance your constitutional rights, and I don't care what the other side is.
Well, unless the other side is other constitutional rights. Like, that's the only fight that there ever should be, is a balancing between constitutional rights. If you want to put anything else on the other side of that scale, you're wrong. Stop it. Go seek help.
By the way, the fourth batch of Twitter files dropped over the weekend.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
A lot of stuff.
More confirmation, essentially, of what we already knew. It's like, hey, here are the receipts for the things that we've been talking about for the last, I don't know, ever since Twitter started.
Yeah, exactly. Including some interesting stuff with Jack Dorsey. Because remember, Jack Dorsey was testifying in front of Congress, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, something like that. And it appears you could make an argument for him, saying in this way that will, say you can't sue me.
Yeah.
Is that it appears there could be a conflict between what he said under oath on the record in front of the U.S. Congress and what was actually done and what he actually said internally at Twitter.
You mean like when he said that there's no such thing as shadow banning, but then the internal emails were talking about the exact accounts to shadow ban?
Right, that.
Okay.
You could make an argument.
There's an argument there. Okay, I can see where you might be able to say, if you do enough mental gymnastics, you can get to the place where him saying there is no shadow banning in comparison to the discussions about shadow banning may be at odds.
Right. So will anything come of that? Currently, no.
Yeah.
But Kevin McCarthy is saying once the Republicans take over, that he's got a list of at least 50 people that they want to initiate investigations or call in for testimony.
See, my response to all this stuff is prison.
Yeah.
Because it's either somebody needs to go to jail, or this is all futile. This is all just us talking about stuff. We might as well have just, be throwing back a pint someplace and just, shooting the breeze about it. It's like, what really sucks? That thing. Yeah, that sucks too.
Well,
and then you like, next round's on me. That's basically as far as this goes if people aren't going to prison.
If he lied to Congress, that is a jailable offense. Being a jerk and biased in his business,
well, no,
not so much.
No, that's true. That's true.
Lying to Congress could be.
But the COVID Fauci stuff, that's a whole other thing.
I can't wait to get all the nitty gritty on that. Elon Musk is teasing that like crazy.
Oh, yeah, it's coming.
Oh, it is. Last minute goal by a Colorado Avalanche. I mean, we're talking like 7 or 8 seconds left in the game. Ties up the game at Enterprise Center, and then a minute into overtime, they break the Blues' hearts. Again, Blues have now lost 8 of their last 10 games. Jordan Bennington did make 28 stops out of 31 shots, so that's good. Blues host Nashville tonight, then they're on the road for a little bit after that. All right, just ahead here, 8:35, Gabe Geeks Out.
Yay!
On 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
To the moon, Alice. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
This
is News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, and we're proud to be the official winter weather source for News Talk STL. The First Alert Weather Team is working hard to keep you ahead of the big weather changes and help you plan your day. So stay connected this winter with Channel 4 and News Talk STL.
From the Newstalk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasevich. Attorney General Eric Schmidt said Thursday his office helped convict a 38-year-old St. Francis County man of first-degree rape through the Safe Kit initiative, which was launched after an investigation found a backlog of untested rape kits in Missouri. This particular rape occurred back in 2014. Florissant Mayor Timothy Lowry attended the grand reopening of the T.S. Ditto photography studio at the Florissant Meadows Shopping Center yesterday. Much of the businesses in the center were destroyed by flooding back on July 26th. Missouri lawmakers will try again in 2023 to legalize sports betting after failing to pass such legislation earlier this year. Senator Denny Hoskins of Warrensburg has filed a bill for the upcoming January session that seeks to approve sports wagering and video lottery systems. The company behind the Butler Brothers building redevelopment that spans a full city block between 17th and 18th Streets announced that the building will be called The Victor and the first phase will be finished by June. Pre-leasing begins in March and there will be 384 apartments in total. And in sports, in college basketball, the Kansas Jayhawks blew out Mizzou 95-67 Saturday in Columbia, delivering the Tigers their first loss of the season. The 9-1 Tigers now head to Miami to play the University of Central Florida on Saturday. Tip-off is at 11 a.m. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We're doing just great now. The Poplar Street Bridge Complex downtown looks fine. 55 North was just busy coming up through the construction zone at Gasconade, but opening up. 270 northbound just had some pockets approaching Manchester. 270 east at New Halls Ferry and westbound at 367. They do have a lane down already through construction, but it's not really slowing you down much. This report is sponsored by Northern Tool and Equipment. This holiday season, Northern Tool and Equipment has the perfect gift for every builder and maker on your list. And with the new deals dropping this week, it's the best time to save on the brand you trust. Northern Tool and Equipment, made for gift giving. I'm Joe Sonderman. That's the latest from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Low-level clouds overhead, and with little clearing expected, temperatures will struggle to make it out of the mid-40s this afternoon. For those that do see some breaks in the cloud cover, temperatures will rise to the upper 40s. Either way, still cool enough that you will need an extra layer. Tomorrow, some warm air moves in ahead of an afternoon cold front. Temperatures will sit in the 50s, and then we'll have widespread showers through the day. That's been your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli, proud to be a part of 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL, the station that brought true conservative talk back to St. Louis, from a homegrown station that is locally owned and operated. And we'd love to help your local business get the word out by becoming your advertising partner. So just send us an email to info@newstalkstl.com to get details on how you can join the team here at the new conservative voice for St. Louis, 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Hey, how you doing? Santa Vic here. You can win some great prizes with News Talk STL's St. Louis Conservative Christmas.
And that's not crap.
See, that's not going to do. That's crap. It's not well done.
Log on to NewstalkSTL.com for your chance to win. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Hey, Gabe.
Yes, sir.
You ready to geek out?
Yes.
All right. Gabe's about to geek out, everybody.
Get ready.
From Tranquility Base to Taurus Littrow to the tranquil waters of the Pacific, the latest chapter of NASA's journey to the moon comes to a close. Orion, back on Earth.
To slow re-entry and reduce the gravitational forces inside the module, NASA skipped Orion like a stone off the Earth's upper atmosphere, and that also helped its heat shield survive a 5,000-degree re-entry. Artemis, the program, cost about $93 billion for 4 flights. The next is in 2024 with 4 astronauts aboard. 25, they plan to land humans on the moon, a lunar lander in 27, the goal to live and work on the moon, then hope for a human visit to Mars in the late 2030s.
That's Fox's William Lajeunesse.
Oh, yeah.
We were debating on how to say his name.
Yeah.
It's Longinus.
Yeah, Lajeunesse.
Lajeunesse. Yeah, something like that.
Let's just call him Bill.
Bill. Thanks, Bill. But I'm so excited for the progression of this whole deal here. The Artemis 1 was basically the test flight. There's like, okay, let's test the capsule. They had mannequins on board who were all instrumented and everything like that. They test the systems. They test that skipping reentry. That's kind of a new innovation.
Explain that.
Okay, so basically, the Earth's atmosphere had it's a lot of molecules kind of flying up up there in the atmosphere. So the thing is, when you go from vacuum to atmosphere, you're hitting things, you're hitting the air. And that's what causes the friction against the surface as you're coming down. You're going really, really fast because orbital velocities are really fast, like thousands and thousands of miles per hour. So I
saw The Right Stuff. I'm kind of an expert.
Yeah,
in this,
exactly. You've seen this in
and
movies.
then I saw Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks, and so I'm again.
Everybody.
That's
yes.
basically a master.
Everybody understands that re-entry, you heat up. Now, the reason, of course, is friction against those molecules. Now, what you can do, though, is in order to slow down before you actually make a full re-entry, is you simply skim the surface of the molecules at a certain density. And it's basically just kind of you touch the surface of, if you imagine the atmosphere as having a surface. It doesn't really, but that's a little detail.
It's like skipping a rock on the water.
Like skipping a rock on the water. You're slowing down its momentum by putting a little bit of friction, but not enough to heat it up, essentially. So you use the air to slow down the aircraft at its orbital velocity. So then when it actually does finally make re-entry, it's at a lower speed, so then you're protecting your heat shields that way.
So what does this mean to us, and why is Mars in this conversation?
Mars is the next step. I mean, we've already been to the moon, and we are going back. The idea of setting up a presence there, and Mars is kind of the next. It's the holy grail, essentially, right now. Of you want to get to another planet. It's one thing to get to the moon, which is so many thousands of miles away from Earth, but of course, going to an actual other planet in our solar system is a major deal. It's basically like why climb Everest? Because it's there.
What interests me, Gabe, is that, back when they landed on the moon the first time, we have about 100 to 1,000 times more power on our iPhones than they used to get those people to the moon.
Oh, yeah.
Last time.
Oh, yeah.
So with this time around, there's so many new things that they could be utilizing. Is it going to be the same type of landing on the moon, or is it going to be more of a involved process to where they can actually do more on the moon once they get there?
Oh yeah, there's the mission itself is way more than the original one that landed on the moon, because we're setting up a semi-permanent base there, essentially. So the experiments that are going with them, the types of exploration they're going to do, I think even the location is significantly different, because there are different landscapes on the moon. There are different places to explore there. So there's going to be a lot to do once they get there, for sure. And the means by which we're getting there has improved. We've got a lot more. You're not going to have an Apollo 13 situation, essentially, because of the new technology, some of the things that we're using there. Even actually between Artemis 1 and Artemis 2, there's an avionics upgrade. That's one of the reasons why it's originally the Artemis 2 was supposed to go in 2023, but it's been pushed to 2024 because of the avionics upgrades that are going to happen between those two missions. So we're even improving between missions. So it's all going to be really, really good stuff. For fuel efficiency is one of those things that's going to be covered. The navigational computers are upgraded. Life support is in a lot better situation right now. Radiation is a particular issue between stellar bodies, so we have improved systems for human life support and all that stuff. So all of this is generational leaps ahead of where we were to begin with, and the hope is that all of this stuff is going to prove itself really, really robust, so that when it's time to take that next step to Mars, that we know we're ready.
And is it true that one of the reasons why they want to go to the moon first before they go to Mars is because it's easier to take off from the moon, and build, if you build something there, it'll be easier as a station type situation to get to Mars from there? Essentially, yeah. I mean, they're looking at using the moon, the moon base, as well as a moon satellite. There's going to be a satellite base orbiting the moon. That'll be wild. That's going to be basically the launch position from which we get to other planets, starting with Mars. Like that's when they talk about it, is like we're starting with Mars. Yeah.
Okay, so we're not in a Soviet versus U.S. space race anymore.
Not technically.
So what? Maybe a NASA versus Elon Musk space race at this point a little bit. But what's in it for us? Why does this matter? Other than to say we did it, we got there. What's in it for us, Gabe?
Well, the technology to get there is one thing. I mean, because I've mentioned this before. The technology that got us from here to the moon the first time is stuff that we use every day. The technology that's getting us to the moon now is stuff that's going to innovate and completely change the way we do things, our society, honestly, between now and then. And then there's just the discovery aspect. As we develop all of this technology, you need a goal. I mean, that's one of these things. Scientific inquiry is one thing where you're just playing with chemicals in a lab, and we actually have this rivalry between applied and theoretical sciences. The theoretical sciences are the guys who they're writing the equations on the blackboard, and they're in their labs. They're always doing that. The applied sciences are where we're doing stuff. We're blowing stuff up. We're we've got rockets. We're going real fast. We're doing all these things. So the thing about applied science is it gives a reason for the theoretical sciences to exist. Because if we're not doing something with this knowledge, it's kind of just spitting in the wind, I guess. Are we getting to the moon faster this time around? And if so, why and how are we going to do that?
Cruise control.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, sorry.
As best as I can tell, I don't think the mission lengths are that much shorter. Because really the thing is, it's when you're in space. When you're going fast, if as much energy as you put into reaching whatever speed you get to is exactly the amount of energy you have to put into slowing down. Oh, okay. Because there's nothing fighting you on the way. So it's one thing on Earth we think of it differently, where you're just pushing power, and then you kind of coast to a stop. Yeah. But that's because there are all kinds of forces acting against you to stop you, like
gravity,
friction, gravity, all air resistance, all those
the air
things.
Itself, yeah.
Yeah. So all of those things are gone. So now if you're blasting towards the moon, you have to blast to stop from hitting the moon as fast as you started going.
That's a good point.
So there's only so fast you want to. There's only so much acceleration and so much deceleration you want to do on a trip. So it's going to be about the same.
Cool.
I told you he was going to geek out.
Hey man, I'm geeking out. I'll tell you what. I've always been enamored with the whole idea of being on the moon and the moon itself.
Oh yeah.
Like they have these crazy things. Like I actually read. Now, this was a documentation of the possibility of carving into the moon to where you could make a base, to where you could actually create an atmosphere within the moon, so it wouldn't be outside in the atmosphere.
Oh yeah, that's on the table.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
It's so cool.
That's pretty wild.
Oh, and by the way, Artemis 2 is going to be the first manned mission to have gone the furthest from the planet that we've ever gone. Just the way their orbital trajectory is going to take them. It's going to take them the furthest away from Earth that any human has ever been.
That's pretty cool too.
And I would think a little frightening if you're the astronaut.
Absolutely. 267,000 miles.
Wow. They need to let their cell phone company know that they're going to be out of town and that their debit card should not be getting charges at that time.
Those roaming services are going to be
that's going to be brutal.
Out of this world.
314. So lame. Why am I laughing at that?
Because it's funny.
314-912-1019. This is 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Follow us on Getter at NewstalkSTL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning on Newstalk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Nothing major for us right now. At 9 o'clock, they will close the ramp from Loughborough to southbound 55 during the midday for utility repair work. So just be advised you'll have to use another on-ramp. 55 southbound at 141, MoDOT's out with a stalled vehicle blocking the right lane. No delay. Just give them a little room. This report sponsored by Dell Technologies, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Dell Technologies' Days of Deals start now with savings on select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Columbo and Katie.
Join us on Monday as we get you all the important news you need to start your week. New Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer will join us at 2 o'clock and definitely Holly at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Are you looking for the cheapest prices on car insurance? Then call the Cheap Car Insurance Hotline right now. Hey, you're guaranteed to save money on your car insurance. Most car insurances can be canceled at any time. That means if you find a better deal, you can switch right away. We're not just one company. We offer most of the major brands of car insurance. We're like a discount supermarket for car insurance. And it doesn't matter if you have a good record or a bad driving record. Our agents are experts at finding you the right car insurance for your needs. Our average customer saves hundreds of dollars a year when they call us to switch. So why don't you make this 100% free call right now and see how much you can save on your car insurance. Paid for by AIS Insurance.
800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. That's 800-721-5741.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
More expensive airfare. The Chinese government.
Pressure on Iran.
1019 and 94.1.
Hate has no place in this country.
Understand what's happening.
News Talk STL. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
We got ourselves a winner, guys.
Yes, sir.
All right, the Conservative Christmas giveaway continues this week. If you want to get in on that action, just go to NewstalkSTL.com and you can register to become the next winner. And if you are, you could be as cool as Josh Johnson. He has won a pair of tickets to see, a pair of tickets to the City Museum in downtown St. Louis.
Nice.
So, Josh, congratulations. Thanks for being a part of News Talk STL. And you don't have to do a thing. We're going to reach out to you, and you tell us how you want us to get your prize to you. So all sorts of things that you could be winning. For instance, guys, you could get I mean, sure, you could get a News Talk STL T-shirt and be the coolest looking person on your block.
Absolutely.
But what else could you win, guys?
El Monster. Oh, wait. No, Monster Jam.
Monster
I'm sorry.
Jam, yeah.
The wheel at Union Station, or how about the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station?
Or even Disney on Ice.
There you go.
Like, crying out loud.
Absolutely.
That's serious stuff.
All right, so NewstalkSTL.com is where you get to be a part of the conservative Christmas giveaway. All right. Jamming. There you go. Interesting townhall.com article. Of course, we're news partners with townhall.com. You hear their news at the top of the hour. And they're covering Ronna McDaniel, who's RNC chair, up for re-election. She's being challenged, but I don't think there's anybody in the race who's going to be able to unseat her. The one person who might have had a chance looked at the math and went, I don't think I can win. That was Lee Zeldin.
Mm-hmm.
But she's quoted as basically saying that Republicans need to get the word across. Republican voters have a duty to vote for Republican candidates all the time. She's looking at some of the states where what she calls vote splitting happened. For instance, Georgia.
Right.
And in Georgia, there were several statewide races on the ballot in November there. I mean, the governor, lieutenant governor of statewide offices, insurance commissioner, agriculture commissioner. And in the top 8 races, Republicans won by 5%, 7%, 8, a lot. And then Herschel Walker loses.
Right.
And so she says, basically, there's got to be more party unity. Now, let me give you a quote that townhall.com's Sarah Arnold wrote. And here's how she quotes her. She says that we can't hate each other so much that we forget what the Democrats are doing to this country. We can't be so mad at each other that we say, I'm not going to vote for this Republican because they like this candidate, or they're a rhino or establishment or MAGA, McDaniel went on to say, arguing. And she says, basically, Americans don't want to vote for a party where the members can't get along. So essentially, that means if, let's say, you are more of a MAGA type Republican and a more establishment Republican wins, that you got to be party unity. You got to vote for that person. Or if you're very conservative, which could or could not be MAGA, I mean, there's a lot of overlap, obviously, but not 100%. And somebody like a Mitt Romney gets your nomination, that, you know what, you got to stick together, stop this vote splitting thing.
I think there's something to that. I think there is, a political calculus that goes in with you when you step into the ballot box. I think we all have done that, where at some point we've all held our nose and voted. At some point, you may have even decided, you know what, you haven't earned my vote. I'm going to take my vote elsewhere. A lot of us have done that, I think, for very, very good reasons. And there's, discussions to be had about each race according to those various and sundry sort of principles. But that's not where Ronna McDaniel's, purview is. It's not with us looking over our shoulder in the ballot box. It's in giving us choices that we actually want to begin with in the ballot box. Like that's where she's supposed to be focused. She's, when she looks at, we had a lot of ballot splitting, she's basically blaming us for having split the ballot, as opposed to blaming herself for not having given us such a great choice in that we don't want to split the ballot.
Or the state Republican Party.
Or the state Republican Party. Yeah, I mean, it does flow downhill from there, so I still put it at her feet as party leader. So
I'm going to be hypocritical maybe in some people's eyes. I do think there is a time to vote strategically.
Yes.
Where it's like, okay, this isn't my first choice. This isn't somebody I would pick. But you look at the alternative. Okay, I get that. I get that argument. But I am so tired after all these decades of my life of being told good enough is good enough because we said so. Now do what we're told. Candidates still have to earn my vote.
Yes.
Now, if you're earning my vote by just simply being better or less offensive than the last one, maybe there's a case for that. But other times, I reserve the right to say, no, I'm not endorsing this. Maybe you need to take an L in order to come back next time and go, whoa, we'd better do better.
I hate to make a soccer analogy because I'm not the biggest soccer fan, but I got into the game because my daughter was playing. But something that I had to wrap my head around was the idea of of passing the ball backwards while you're maintaining control of the ball. In soccer, it looks weird to those of us who are, grew up with football or things like that, where it's always forward. It's very, very few and far between, where you want to pass it backwards. That's a trick play. In soccer, it's different. It gives you an opportunity to reset. It gives you an opportunity to survey the field, move your people around, get your offense ready before you actually make another push towards the goal. And I think that's one of the things that we have to get used to, is that sometimes your candidate didn't do it for me, so I'm going to step back. I'm going to kick the ball backwards, essentially. I'm going to take that immediate L because we can't. This isn't the way forward. This isn't going to work in the long run. In the short run, yeah, sure, we get an R in place, but in the long run, it's not going to advance our cause to reaching our goal. And I think Ron McDaniel's thinking here is very much in the third grade soccer, where always forward, surround the ball, kick it until you kick somebody else in the shins, and then maybe the ball will kind of accidentally go into the other goal because they're not looking. That's not how you play advanced soccer. That's not how you play advanced politics.
Big R Republican does not necessarily mean constitutionalist.
Absolutely.
Big R Republican does not necessarily mean conservative. Big R Republican does not necessarily mean free markets. Now, Big R Republican can mean all those things.
Yep.
But we saw what happened when we said good enough is good enough for a while, and then voters revolted. And the Republican Party took some lumps. The establishment took some beating. The Democrats gained ground. And Republicans were forced to do a little bit of soul searching. So should Ronna McDaniel be saying, let's do soul searching? She's actually also said in this article, and you can find it at townhall.com, where she said, we got to talk about this abortion issue too. No, you don't.
Really? Oh boy. So basically she's going the complete rhino direction. And she's blaming us for not being behind all of her various rhino positions and rhino candidates.
It could be argued that way.
No, that's what it sounds like to me.
And by the way, it's football.
That's
to
true.
you. Football to you, you soccer American. Football.
It's soccer.
Vic Porcelli coming away here at 9:04 on 101.9, 94.1 Newstalk STL. Don't forget, get into the conservative Christmas giveaway right now. Go to newstalkstl.com and register to win.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
I am a election denier because I don't think that 2020 was a free and fair election. And I get crap for that. But Stacey Abrams, the question was worded just like that. Was 2018 a free and fair election? She said no.
Right.
Why does she get to say it, but we don't get to say it?
Because you're not a Democrat.
I don't want to be one of those.
No, I don't either, Vic.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9
on Newstalk STL.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best